Welcome then to our final day's coverage of the Tour de France. This, the 22nd stage of the 1991 race, making its way in towards Paris. The riders, I must say, in a rather holiday mood, although they've got some serious stuff ahead, because in my experience on the Tour de France over the years, when we've had this sort of run into Paris, they get a nice little mornings trundle through the fine territory, the woods and the valleys and what have you on the outskirts of Paris, and they have a bit of a joke as well. And then somebody fires a gun, more or less, with about an hour and a half to go, and they go off like little rockets, I can tell you. So bear with us the next half an hour. We'll put you in the picture of what's going on, and I think we'll have the next hour and a half after that going like stink. This being the stage from Melun to Paris. This is the second time the Tour, or third time the Tour's been in Melun. They've had a couple of finishes there when Maurice Isier won in '68 and Giancantalio Santobrogio, it's a mouthful at this time of day, finished in first place in '75. So you see the pack now. Obviously nobody's going to really try and rip the legs off anybody else, because we've been studying the general classification. Yesterday's time trial from Luni to Macron was completely dominated by Miguel Indurain, who took time out of all his main opposition, because nobody could get within him. He won the stage yesterday, the second time trial stage. He's won in the Tour de France. He's there in yellow. You can see him in the middle of your screen there, Miguel Indurain, riding home to, well, I say home, he's riding to Paris, but it'll be good as home. I think there are more Spanish-speaking spectators lining the Champs-Elysees than any other nation at the moment. They're out there en fête. They've come up from Spain in tremendous numbers, and ahead of these riders, you'll find a big crowd waiting in the glorious sunshine in Paris to cheer home the riders in this Grand Boucle. This year, the 1991 Tour de France has seen lots of excitement, lots of activity, and these riders know now it's a sort of like the last day at school, really. Okay, chaps, we'll take it a bit easy for the early part of the day, and then we'll all rush off home. Well, they're going to rush off very close to Paris. We're going in through Issy over the river, along the Seine, where the crowds have been gathering, and the barriers have been out actually since Monday in the middle of Paris. And bit by bit, they've been building up the paraphernalia, putting up the grandstands and closing down the roads. In fact, yesterday, lovely story, one of the British, I presume they must have been over as spectators for the Tour. Certainly it was a British Range Rover parked on the Champs-Elysees, complete with some bikes on top, and in the back here, I think the time when the riders grabbed their feed. They're going through this particular point now. The riders are going through Dampierre-en-Yvelines, and they've covered now 83.5 kilometres. So this is where they get the grub for the day. 83.5 kilometres covered of this race today, a total of 178 kilometres. The large chunk at the back end, some 50 kilometres, will be taking them up and down the Champs-Elysees, where they have a 6.25 mile circuit, sorry, 6.25 kilometre circuit to cover, and that one will be some 8 laps of the circuit, so plenty of time to see some furious action, because everybody wants to win in Paris. One or two of the hopefuls will slide up before the end. Those who haven't got a chance in the sprint will nip off, I suspect, and they'll get reeled in, and off we go again. Sort of same tactic, but you never know with the Tour de France, anything can happen. Anyway, those people who had the Range Rover, complete with bikes on top, British number plates, and in the back all their luggage for their holiday. I'm not quite sure where they were coming from or to, just somebody actually told me this story. Said along came the police, because 24 hours before the Tour comes in, that's all day on Saturday, they're busily keeping the traffic off the Champs-Elysees, and everywhere where this run goes, they go down alongside the Tuileries and cut back and up the other side of the Tuileries and through the Place de la Concorde, and the police were just merrily showing any vehicle that happened to be on the route. And so these poor people went back yesterday just to discover their motor had been nicked, but it was being nicked by the law. Cost a few bob, I suspect, to get it back. But there you are, the riders here heading into what's going to be, I think, a tremendous occasion as far as the Spaniards are concerned, because they've not won this race many times compared with some of the other nations, but Pedro Delgado won in 1988, and in there the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain. He came into this race as the domestique to Pedro Delgado, but Delgado, who didn't ride the Tour of Spain, doesn't seem to hit form this time. He's ridden well, but here we are. This will just put you in the picture of where we're at the moment with the team classification. But Esther, that's the team that Delgado and Indurain ride for, and it has been the strongest team, no doubt about it. Castorama second, Fignon's team doing extremely well. RMO Mavic in third spot with stage successes, 4 of them in their team this year. in the Tour de France, and Zed's back in 4th spot. Nice little ride by the Ralco Postobon team, back in 5th, by the way. But we haven't seen a lot of them, but they've been consistent in the mountains, always up there during the Pyrenees and during the Alps, and they haven't sort of got any of their riders really dominant in the race, but certainly they've been consistently there, riding very steadily and picking up some points in the team award. Here we are, see the riders. Look, there goes the Lotto and the Panasonic people there with the food out. There's Motorola. What's the next one we'll have as we go through? Riders putting plenty of liquid on their bikes again today. Cameron getting some delightful shots. This is always a dangerous zone when the riders are picking up the food, because what can often happen is a touch of wheels and down they go. I think the cameraman was sitting there waiting like a vulture for something to happen, something to fall off. Well, they're not racing so seriously at the moment. They're going through here normally about 25 mile an hour. Today it's nearer to not 10 miles an hour, I suppose. So there's no difficulty in picking up the food. Bit of gentleman's agreement, you don't attack during the feeding station, and you don't attack immediately after it until everybody's got all their grub on board. And so they're now busily unpacking their little musettes and filling their pockets and putting the bottles onto the bike. They reckon this man here in yellow, Indurain, his team manager, said he'd been drinking 6 litres of water a day in the hot sections. There he goes, lovely shot of him picking up his bag, then over his head it goes, see? Then down to front, he'll start now to rummage inside there. There goes the bottles, because they're the heaviest things anyway, and they sort of wobble backwards and forwards, so I think just get the bottles out as quick as you can do. He's had one. Has he got another one in there? Yes, there goes the other one. One on the down tube, sorry, one on the down tube, one on the seat tube. There are a couple of cages on there, and the cages are screwed to the frame. There's a couple of little pips brazed on the frame, and so all the riders are busily putting their nosh away for the rest of the day. That's Dmitry Konashev, stage winner in this Tour this year, stage winner last year, and of course the Soviet Union absolutely taking this race by the scruff of the neck, because we had Ekimov win the other day, then we had Konashev win a stage, we've had Abdul Jafarov win a couple of stages, so 4 stages have gone to Soviet Union riders, and the journalists are asking questions about, well, where are the Belgians and where are the Dutch and the people who used to win the flat stages? Well, certainly Nydam got a stage for Holland and his Buckler team, and De Wilde got a stage for Belgium and his Histor team. But generally speaking, the sprint stages used to be dominated by the Belgians and sometimes the Dutch, but particularly the Belgians. But now it seems the order's changing, and we're looking towards those from east to what used to be the Iron Curtain to go well in the sprints, with Abdul Jafarov wearing the green points jersey. Well, the riders look a bit more active now than we've seen so far this morning. We've been watching them coming in on our monitor screens. Been quite a lot of joking going on. Egg Boyer drifted off after some 66 kilometres to his hometown, or his family were there to meet him on the side of the road. They all turned out, and so we had a wonderful celebration. The team, all the field let him go. They knew he lived there, so off he drifted to the front. As it looks like Christophe Lavian's getting over to the side of the road, having had a little bit of a burst on the front on this climb here. Because after that feeding zone, we're now going straight over 4th category climb, and this one is Les 17 Tournées, or Les 17 Tournant, and so they're going up this one, a 4th category climb. After it's up to 170 metres, by the way. Very small little climbs they got today, these 4th category. They've already got over 3 of them. This is the 4th, and there are 2 more to come. They're not stretching the legs too much, the riders, and of course the King of the Mountains jersey on the shoulder of Claudio Chiappucci. There are not enough points here for anybody to go and try and challenge him, so the riders having a bit of joke at the front here and going up towards the top of this climb. The Côte de Saint-Cyr, which is the one before this, Philippot got it from Brunel and Marie in that order. And up here, of course, the spectators know what to see when they come out here. They come in just to cheer the riders, who are now well on their way. They've just covered somewhere around about 3,900 kilometres. They've got 3,940 to do so far in this race. So maybe 3,870, say, that they've covered so far in this race. That's total distance of the race, well over 2,000 English miles. And here's some of the riders still got their bags over their shoulders, haven't had time to get the food out and put it into their back pockets. And so there they are, climbing up the hill, having had their little thing handed up. And the field at the back taking it relatively easy, and our cameraman taking part also here, wearing flowers in their hair. Way! Sprint on the top of the line, and that looked like Christophe Lavian probably got it, yes. No, it wasn't Christophe Lavian, but they've had a little bit of a joke there.
Eurosport. The Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport in association with Isostar, the fast-acting isotonic thirst quencher.
And the riders approaching obstruction in the road. On the side of the road, the gendarme was there with the yellow triangle to warn them, and that's what it is. They're coming to a central reservation, so they've been warned to get over it a little bit. The flag was being waved, and off they go, nicely around the corner. And there's a massive crowd turnout to see them. They recognise that these riders are having almost a lap of honour before they get to Paris, and then the serious stuff starts, and the opportunity to see at close hand the giants that rode, the people over these last 3 weeks they've been reading about in the press, listening about on the radio, and watching on television. Because television brings you all the action on a bicycle race like nothing else. There's no way that you can go with a bike race and watch it so close except with television. Even the only other way, of course, is to be on a motorbike moving in amongst. Even the team directors at the back and the press don't see what you see back at home, because in fact we see it best of all, and you see it best of all, because there are 3 cameras covering the race. There's one up in the sky as well from the helicopter, because there's 4, and the static cameras as well along the route. So the best way of watching the Tour is to come out, watch it go past, and then nip off and see it on television. So the field here, again, their photographs taken because obviously the records are required of the riders wearing the different jerseys in the field. And whoops, stop for a call of nature, I think. Turn your eyes the other way, yes. The Spaniards, then I say, in the Champs-Élysées, gathering in fine numbers. Pedro Delgado, winner in '88 this year on the Tour. If you've not caught up with the latest position or general classification, Delgado is lying at the moment in 9th place. He moved up yesterday from 11th to 9th following the time trial, when he did quite a useful ride yesterday, Delgado. He finished 12th in the time trial, 2:56 down. Excuse me. Turn your eyes left, ladies. This is the time when the gentlemen have to make themselves comfy for. There's no time to stop in the middle of the Champs-Élysées and do this sort of thing. You could imagine it would rather cause all sorts of problems. But that lot will get back together. They work together to get back on board. It's sort of gentleman's agreement. They all get going and work like a little train at the back and get back on the field. So Delgado, who came into this race, didn't ride the Tour of Spain, deliberately wanted to win the Tour this year, having won it way back in '88. Began to lose momentum when we certainly got to the Pyrenees, and so it's Indurain who did that great ride on the second day of the Pyrenees and began to really dominate this race and was moving through in good fine style. So Delgado, now the last Spaniard to win this race in '88, and before that, if you go back to 1973 when Louis O'Connor won the race, and then before that back to 1959 when Federico Behamontes, they used to call him the Eagle of Toledo. He was a great mountain bike climber, Federico Behamontes, and he won it in 1959. Charlie Gall, another great mountain bike rider, it's not mountain bike, mountain climber, had won the race in '58. Charlie Gall then, tremendous, when it came to the mountains, Charlie used to fly over the top, and so did Behamontes. So Federico Behamontes, tremendous climber, and he took the Tour de France in 1959. So there was Spain beginning to show itself, because it hadn't won a stage. Spain hadn't won anything of note, really. The Tour de France had been beyond them until 1959. That's somewhat 41 years ago now. 31, get your arithmetic right. 31 years ago that Behamontes won the Tour de France, and that put him up there in the greats as far as the Spanish were concerned. So we really only had 3 Spanish victors in the Tour, and we're well on our way now towards having the 4th of them, with Miguel Indurain coming around. In fact, it's really changing in recent years, because there was Delgado winning in 1988, the Tour of France. We had, of course, Greg LeMond winning in '86, '89 and '90. An American, just imagine it, 3 times American winning it. Stephen Roche winning it in '87. So it's a very international race, and the old order's considerably changed, because the dominance of France and Belgium has drifted away. Hinault was the last man to dominate as far as France were concerned, because he won it 5 times. Laurent Fignon won it a couple of times. So that covered the sort of span virtually from '77 when Bernard Thévenet won the race. And before that, of course, Eddy Merckx was a dominant man. He won it 4 times on the trot, and for the 5th time in 1974. So that was Belgium and France doing the controlling of the race and winning it, and now we're seeing a change. And a Spaniard there will be absolutely welcomed by these masses gathered at the Champs-Élysées, who give him tremendous encouragement. He won't want to, he'd love to win the final stage, of course, but what he's got to do is to keep out of harm's way and make sure that he doesn't fall off or have a misadventure of some sort or other. So he's just got to keep his wits about him, stay in one piece, stay out of trouble, and that yellow jersey will be his. And the decision as to whether he's going to rush back down to Pamplona and be fated as a national hero, or whether to take the very lucrative contracts which now in Belgium and France and up there in Holland, these criteriums, these 2-hour races, are going to be held en masse for this next week, and at least over the sort of 3-week period they keep popping up all over the place, but really they don't have a lot of time to ride the crits after this next week's over, because they've got the Wincanton race on the Sunday. Whoops, there goes Indurain down the gutter. Indurain, known as singing by the British press, for some reason it escapes me. We had lovely weather today, thank goodness. It's got better. Those terrible conditions that we had down in the Alps, it was a pretty diabolical time for the bike riders, believe me. And if you're watching it or trying to watch it, we're sorry that we couldn't pick the pictures up. What we're going to do next week, by the way, on Eurosport is for 5 days we'll be picking up the best one of the highlights each day. So we have our best highlights program we'll be pumping out for the past 21 days. We're going to pick out the best highlight programs and bring them to you each evening, so you can switch back on again if you want to watch it all, having been away perhaps on holiday and didn't set your recorder and you want to see all the top stages. And starting on Monday we'll have a highlights of the first 11 stages, all as one package, and then we'll move on and pick up the 2 Pyrenees stage. We're going to the Alps and so on, and you can sit and watch the race unfold by high definition Eurosport and your satellite dish up in the sky, or the cable system to which you are connected to. So Eurosport, not only are we going to have the Tour de France coming to you next week, but immediately after that there's going to be the, or week after, one after that, there's going to be the Tour of Holland at the same time as we've got the World Road Championships. Delgado, has just been mentioning him, finished first in 1988, looking quite cheerful. It must be disappointing when you set your whole season around winning a race like this one, then to discover you just haven't got that punch when the time comes. But he's obviously very happy for his Benesto team, leaving overall. They've got the yellow jersey. And what a nice man he is to this chap. He's really got stuck in to look after Indurain, who is probably the sort of rider, he even openly admits that whilst he may have had sometimes the experience to an ability to win the Tour de France, he didn't feel he could take the pressure of the yellow jersey right the way through, nor the attention of the press and all the requirements that go with being a yellow jersey wearer. And he's quite happily in the past, Indurain has sacrificed himself for Pedro Delgado. Well, no, he's in the yellow, he's adapted to it very well indeed, and Indurain now is going home, I think, to a hero's welcome. Lovely cartoon yesterday in the Lake Keep. On the front of it there was this rider on a bicycle. Instead of having handlebars turned down like these are, they were actually turned up, and when you looked at them they were bull's horns, and this rider was grabbing these bull's horns because of course Indurain comes from Pamplona, where they let the bulls loose for the benefit of the tourists and the locals, and cause all sorts of damage. At least 3 people gored this show, if I remember correctly. Hello, yes, give us a wave. So they're full of fun and at the moment, as that's Diaz Zabala from Spain. It was quite noticeable, by the way, when Indurain began to get under some pressure when his yellow jersey wasn't actually at stake, but this work had got to be done, that the Spaniards, not only just the Benesto's team, from occasionally just threw down the differences between team demarcation and just became Spain versus the rest. And even in fact we had 1 or 2 riders who are not Spanish but were riding for Spanish teams began to help their team in. I suppose the same thing would happen, whichever nationality was working well would get some help from other people of a similar ilk. These things happen in bike racing, some sort of combination gets set up for the benefit of a particular rider. And the best combination I've ever seen, or an act by a team, or one of the best ones, was on the stage into Le Havre this year when Thierry Marie went away, and he was away for 234 kilometres. And these lads you see on the front with the blue shorts riding for the Castorama team, with their clothing looking like they are carpenters, because in fact Castorama will sell you paint and they'll sell you wood and they'll sell you everything you want for do-it-yourself about the home. Well, they had got this Thierry Marie away, and he was in danger of being caught going in towards Le Havre after this long lone break, and they went to the front and they absolutely went across the road right the way from verge to verge on the grass, and there's only one rider managed to force his way past, because there was just a little pavement where the pedestrians were standing, and it wasn't proper pavement, it was just sort of beaten earth really, and it's Pedersen who ducked inside, nearly took the pedestrians' toes with him and managed to force his way past. But see how they're lined up now? Well, you can imagine all that lot on that particular day belonged to this one team, Castorama, all 8 of them, and the only one that was out in the front was this first man, Marie. And it was just perfectly all right to actually do that. That's good tactics, and also that was the way I'm sure that got him not only the stage victory into Le Havre, but he was so far ahead by then, he also took over the yellow jersey. So that was a beautiful bit of bike riding, and something I should remember for a long, long time and many years to come.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport.
And there we have the Lotto team now on the front of the pack. Of course, they're without their big sprinter, Johan Museeuw, who retired from the race. Unfortunately, one or two riders have dropped out. We're well down on numbers now. 157, in fact, left in the race. We had 158, but one of the Colombians has just been chucked out for, it's rumoured to have been taking illegal substances. That's the only one that's been caught, to the best of my knowledge, throughout the race, but we'll wait to get the official check on that one. But nevertheless, 157 riders left in the race, and unfortunately, Museeuw being out of it, and therefore Lotto really going home with only the place of Johan Brunel to show for their troubles. In 35th place overall, 57 minutes 28 seconds down. Sure, he's a young man we're going to see a lot more of, but they came in looking, I think, for their sprinter specialist to pick up a few of the prize along the way, but it was not to be. So out went Museeuw, who won the stage into Paris last year, and ahead of him, ahead of a big pack of swirling riders. The previous year, of course, 1989, we'd not had the road race finish into Paris. We'd had a time trial, and Greg LeMond won it. Before that, there was a road race finish when Van Poppel burst out the pack to get it. Well, LeMond is, of course, in this field now at the moment, but he's not really threatening on general classification. He's way back at the moment overall in 7th spot. As the two riders here having a little bit of a flurry over the top of that climb. That was the 4th category climb they've just gone over, the Côte de Saint-Rémy. And that's the other one. We've got one more to come, and that's only just down the road, just about another 4 kilometres of the Côte de Châteaufort. And then we get down into the flat. We go in towards Versailles, and I should think round about Versailles, we'd like to see some increased action from these riders in trying to split the field up, because obviously they want to start wearing down the sprinters. Van Poppel, as they won in 1988. Van Poppel not in the field now, one of the PDM riders who unfortunately was sidelined when they all dropped out on the 10th or 11th stage with that stomach trouble. The salmonella has been proved to be since then, and they're trying to identify the source. They believe it was one of the food supplements the riders had been taking, but it just sidelined their team, and it's a great disappointment. And probably, I won't say that's why Banestos have been so dominant, and particularly why the yellow jersey has got so much time now, because undoubtedly Indurain would have had a challenge, I think, yesterday in the time trial if Breukink had still been riding, because Eric Breukink was ahead in the time trial up to the 63 kilometre point on stage 8 when they had that one over 73 kilometres. In the final 10 kilometres, he lost about 1 minute and 20 seconds with this sickness trouble, and that was the first we began to realise things went right, because when we look back at the way in which the rest of the PDM riders had gone into the time trial and had been up in the top 10, 3 of them, Alcala and Kelly, and all drifted out together with Breukink, then we knew something was wrong, and certainly it was a stomach trouble. I mean, Kelly at one time was lying 10th. He ended up by being 18th that day in that time trial. Alcala started out by being 4th, ended up by being 14th, and they were all beginning to struggle, and suddenly realised something was not right, and they had fevers and headaches and stiffness, and the poor riders were all sidelined. There had been tests carried out by learned doctors to try and locate the source, and there we go, the field on their way through. Oh, we're having a little chat here. Oh, he's gone back for a drink. Well, the teams here are sort of combining at the moment. Normally you have to go to your own team car. Oh, what a beautiful sight that is. Nipping back to get a drink off the Z car was number 56, Santal Marita. And he is now on. Whoops, there we are. You see, moment of, as he buckled his back wheel. I think it looks like his back wheel might have, so he's been taking it a bit too easy. Vichot has gone down, and, well, that just shows that while they're going along, it might seem like a bit of a party for the riders out there. They've got to keep the wits about them, and poor Vichot has hit the tarmac. No, they said he's okay, and his back wheel looks all right as well. So he's pushed on his way. Yep, and he's gone. Well, a bit shaken by that one. The last big crash we had to Baldy a couple of days ago, if you watched our programme then, he went down the right old bang and hit his head just on the forehead, and on the side of his forehead to be more precise, and cut it badly and bashed his knee. Well, he's still riding. Yesterday he finished 152nd in the time trial, 12 minutes and 2 seconds behind the winner Indurain. The last man to finish yesterday was Yuri Pavlik, 158th, 16 minutes and 31 seconds. Hello there. We seem to have a gentleman here I haven't recognised before riding in the pack. Yuri Pavlik last to finish yesterday, just 16:31 back. Ravello Leo Tibaldi still in there for Chateau d'Ax, because even when they're badly knocked about, the riders just want to get into the finish. And it looks like Laurent Fignon heading home, because he's a Parisienne, and of course he was the one chap who was most unfortunate upset when he lost the Tour de France a couple of years ago, and Greg LeMond obviously rocketed around that time trial and beat him by 8 seconds. You can imagine, no, it isn't him at all. It's one of the riders from the Carrera squad, and just getting himself down there is Perini, Giancarlo Perini from the Carrera Jeans team. And the rest of the pack string on behind him. Well, today like this, we see lots of riders at the front we don't normally see, because their job as domestiques is to go back and get drinks of water for the team leaders. They have to hang back in the pack in case the team leader gets a puncture and be able to pace him back up again, to preserve their strength by sitting in the pack so that they can have a rest there when they have to go and, say, chase down a break to come up and then start working on the front. So all these chaps in here, look at that long string up. They've all had some job to do, and very few of them, of course, can turn out stage winners. Only 22 stages there, of which one of them is of course, a team time trial. So there's only a few stages that can be won, and the mixture of mountains and flats means that various riders with different capabilities can pick up those stage successes. But every one of those bike riders down there has to ride the distance and get there. And of course, the man with the shortest possible time that wins the Tour de France. The yellow jersey denoting the man who's leading on time. And at the moment, the man at the back is Rob Harmeling. He's 3 hours, 25 minutes and 51 seconds. He's the 157th rider in the race. 3 hours, 25 minutes and 51 seconds down on Miguel Indurain when we started this morning. So that just gives you some idea of the difference in ability between the man in the yellow jersey and the man that's lying last overall in the race.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport.
And looking down in that pack, trying to see if I can locate Lawrence Roche, by the way. We're just going back to that final climb of the day. It was only a long little drag up, and so Bugno was allowed to drift off the front and take first place. Well, that was a bit of a gift from the rider's point of view, but he's earned his spurs very well this year, Bugno. He won the stage at the Alpe d'Huez, 21 vicious climbs, and so he is celebrating something a bit on the flat just for the hell of it. But Bugno, I think that given a somewhat stronger team round about him, now he's got the experience, is probably a likely contender to win this race. He's lying second overall on general classification at the moment, and that is, he's 3 minutes 36 seconds down, but he did a good time trial yesterday. He finished in second place behind Miguel Indurain, just 27 seconds down on Indurain. And I think that Bugno is a rider we've got to look out for in the future, because certainly he's shown again his overall ability in this race. And he's riding there in the colours. We couldn't recognise him. He just come back of Holland and say, well, those aren't normally Chateau d'Ax colours. He's, of course, the champion of Italy. And he got that the Sunday before the Tour de France started. What a great rider. 1988, he won a stage in the Tour. He went on in 1989 to finish second in the... Sorry, finished second in the Italian Championship. And then he won... Then the Tour de France, he was 11th. So in the Tour de France, he had 2 stage wins in 1990. One of those being, of course, the Alpe d'Huez, which he won again this year. So they give him a gift of another top of the mountain, but this time a lot less than the old Alpe d'Huez. Brilliant rider. Won the Milan-San Remo last year. He won the Giro d'Italia, and of course British viewers remember the way he won the Wincanton Classic when he went on then to get match enough points to be the Perret World Cup champion for 1990. So the champion of Italy now, and we look forward to seeing him. I'm going back to Britain tonight after this race is over and done with, and look forward next Sunday to being at Brighton for the Wincanton Classic. And I hope thousands of people turn out to cheer these riders, many of whom will be competing in Brighton on that course, which goes round, first of all, several laps of a big circuit up Ditchling Beacon, well known by those riders who take part in the London to Brighton fun ride when 30,000 people set off, and I think most of them end up walking up Ditchling Beacon. It's a stinking climb, particularly for non-cyclists. Imagine these chaps have to race up the thing, and they have laps around the big circuit up Ditchling Beacon, and then a smaller circuit down in Brighton, right along the seafront, near the Madeira Drive. They come whacking through there. And here we are at the moment. We've got them 100 kilometres have been covered so far. And you can see the Eiffel Tower ahead of them. They're going to come down the Seine with the river on the right-hand side, the Eiffel Tower be on the right-hand side. They go zooming along the edge of the river. They'll cross it further on down at Issy-les-Moulineaux, and we'll come along the Seine on the right-hand side, the Eiffel Tower, all the holidaymakers out there. Some of them will know the tours are coming up and some won't at all. They've just perhaps gone on holiday to France and run into it. It happens often to Brits because the Brits don't know so much about cycle racing as the Continentals, who read in their national newspapers, and of course on television all the time over here as well in France, where it's the sport for this time of the year. And so people know what to expect in Paris today, but holidaymakers just coming across say from Britain, who are not aware of the Tour de France, suddenly find roads in the town centre absolutely blocked off. And the consternation of traffic, because if you've ever been around the Arc de Triomphe, which is at the top of the Champs-Élysées, and down the Champs-Élysées around the Place de la Concorde, it always is full. There's Gert-Jan Tunisa from the TVM squad. Had a disappointing tour. He had some stomach trouble in the Pyrenees. He said he drank some orange juice that disagreed with him. And of course, the trouble with these riders, when they're moving from hotel to hotel and having to snatch meals, well, be given meals of different sorts, they try and have a pretty standard meal menu, but of course it's cooked in different hotels for them, and they're drinking different water, and your stomach can play all sorts of tunes if you're not careful. I know holidaymakers travelling across various different areas, when they're even just drinking different water, even if it boiled for their tea or their coffee, can have problems. Imagine what it's like you're riding a bike as well on top of all that. So Tunisa a bit unhappy, I think. Whoops, one of the riders investigating the headrow game. I think he's going bird's nesting. The saying in Paris then, this whole gaggle of people then find that when they get down there that somebody's coming to a halt, and it's because this lot are on their way through. Going back to the overall classification, I mentioned Rob Harmeling last the Lanterne Rouge. They call him 3 hours 25 minutes 51 seconds down on Miguel Indurain. He did a cracking ride yesterday in the time trial. We didn't notice it because as he was the last man overall, he started first. And when we came on air and started to pick up all the riders, of course we were looking at the major riders. We picked up all the top riders, and this fellow Rob Harmeling actually finished 19th in the end, so it was a extremely good ride for him. He was only 4 minutes 21 seconds down on Indurain. In fact, he beat Maurizio Fondriest, for instance, who was 20th. Eduardo Chozas, who's been going well in this tour, was 21st. Pascal Lance, 22nd. Gert-Jan Tunisa, who we just seen on the box there, was in 23rd place. And Uwe Ampler, ex-world amateur champion and peace race specialist, was in 24th place. So you can imagine that rider, Rob Harmeling, who I remember riding as an amateur in England in the milk race. There he was, this lad finishing 19th place. So he's recovered from whatever it was that put him back overall at the back end of the field. Lawrence Roche is still riding. He's 153rd overall. His brother, of course, came in a couple of days to help us with the commentary on the Eurosport. We had Alan Piper with us as well. He's now gone off racing down into Italy. All of them getting ready not only for things like the Wincanton next Sunday and the Kellogg's Pro Tour during the week that follows that, but on the Tour of Holland. But we've also got the World Championships, which we're covering on Eurosport. We're doing all the track right the way through, and then the following week the time trial will be on the Wednesday, and then the weekend of the, I think it's 24th, 25th, this date in August, we'll have the road races on the Saturday and the Sunday for you to watch. We had Connie Shea talking of the Road Championships. What a surprise that man was when 2 years ago he at Chambry, in those terrible wet conditions, had a cracking circuit there, came down the hill dropping like a stone, and was there with Fignon and Le Monde and Kelly, and he got up there and got himself a silver medal, much to surprise everybody else, because Le Monde won it, Konyshev second, and Sean Kelly in third spot. Of course, Kelly and the rest of his team, PDM, having had an enforced break from bike riding with the stomach. I believe Martin Early's not too well, taking some time to recover. So from Eurosport, can we please convey our sympathies to Martin Early and hope that he does recover. That stomach trouble knocks some about more than others. Novak Hoven spent some time in hospital with his bugs in his belly, but they sorted him out. And for Martin Early, hope he's making a rapid recovery. He'll be home at Stoke-on-Trent and getting a few miles in, ready for the rest of the season. There we are in the green jersey, Abdul Japarov. What a revelation he's been too, because he came into this race, he won the Gent-Wevelgem, and then suddenly he started to sprint like crazy because he burst out of the pack on the first stage where 11 men went away and pinched 1 minute 44 seconds on the rest of the field, including Deglemont, who suddenly showed that he'd come back into form. Off went Abdul Japarov, and he won the sprint. And then he went and won the fourth stage as well. You probably remember seeing that when he bumped and bored his way, and Muzio didn't like it at all, but he goes as much sideways as he does forwards when it feels like it. And Abdul Japarov took that green jersey after the third stage, and he's kept it ever since. We thought he might have lost it in the mountains, but he's hung on to it, and he's taking it on his shoulders back into the finish in Paris.
Eurosport. The Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport in association with ESOS.
A beautiful sight of that aqueduct with the riders streaming alongside of it and through the archway heading in towards Paris to finish this final stage of the Tour de France. And the riders in no great shakes to wind the speed up, but I think it won't be long before they decide that they've had enough of this promenading and they're going to get stuck in. So they've come under a beautiful piece of stone walling then, a nice old aqueduct. Talking about a wall, there's a fantastic cartoon in Lake Keep when they got to stage 8 with the time trial, and this little rider was standing there with his bike and his massive brick wall was in front of him, and it was just headed at the foot of the wall. It's a sort of same expression in France you get in England about, you know, he's got a mountain to climb, and there was this great big wall in front of him, because that time trial was the one that really began to show and split the riders up somewhat, because up till then the pack had been fairly closely placed. In fact, Abdul Jafarov, as I've just been talking about, he was at one time on the left up to stage 11, only 51 seconds down on the leader in second place, and 2 days later he was 52 minutes down and about halfway down the pack. It shows you how the mountains can obliterate the big riders who just can't climb up them. And that's the whole essence of the Tour de France. You balance flat stages with mountain stages, twisty roads with main roads, and at the end of it, it's the riders that make the race. There's been some sort of comment that the Tour this year has not been so hard, particularly at the Alps that they've had in the past, but riders make the race, and they've all recognised, all the riders, that even if it had been a harder course than the strength of Indurain, he still would have come out on top and would still have been the victor. So whatever the course might be, the riders will race. It may be the time gaps may get greater or lesser depending upon the severity of the course, but generally speaking, the same hard men will come out on top. Although if it is an extremely mountainous course, and you do get one or two of the climbers a little bit further up the general classification, and you get a few more of the heavy men failing to finish by falling out the back because they can't go up the climbs. Looking down there, right, mixed bag of colours. Let's put in a picture of the different colours the riders have got, so that when we get into the finish, you can pick your own favourites and watch out for them. Going to whiz through there pretty quick. There, the red, white and blue colours, just drifting through. That's the colours of the champion of Holland, being worn by Steven Rooks. They've gone right a long way up, so it might be blurred on your screen. Certainly here we can see the pink shoulders of the Lotto team. There's lots of blue and white jerseys in the pack, and the three of them are very similar, and they take some spotting. This is the Banesto jersey. There was Jean-Francois Bernard with the sunglasses on the top of his head. The Banesto team with the blue shoulders to it. Alongside is Luc Leblanc, the colours of the Castorama team. Again, blue and white, but they don't have quite a big stripe going over the shoulder, so you can pick that one up all right. And just wedged between the two, there's Jelle Nijden with the Buckler team that have got very similar colours to those of the Banesto team. There's Brian Home from Histor, just drifted by. This is Laurent Fignon going through now. Fignon is rumoured to be leaving Castorama at the end of this season. It's fascinating to see where he's going to. Just picked up the colour of the TVM, the blue and the yellow. And they're the RMO team. That's with the green stripes running down underneath the armpits. The Ralco Postobon, there are the blue and the red sort of rectangles at the back. Those are the Colombians who've come across here. They've actually been bombed out a bit early on. They just couldn't stand the pace, because this race at the moment is very close to the record average speed. Their overall average is very close to 25 miles an hour as far as this year's race is concerned. That's the RMO team. They are a company, if you want sort of help in France and across the rest of Europe, particularly in France, and you want a secretarial help or some general clerical help, we want men to help build a factory and you're short of workers, then RMO provide the temporary labour for that. And they've got a very strong team here. Cravelet we're looking at now, winner of the King of the Mountains jersey previously in the Tour de France. Been riding very hard to try and get it off Kiapucci this year, but it's not to be. The other side, that's Eric Caratou, previous champion of France, alongside him. And in the midst of that pack somewhere, Charlie Motte, who's won 2 stages. In fact, RMO being one of the most successful teams. They and Alain Austere have had the major victories. RMO having collected 4 victories so far in the Tour de France, 2 for Motte, and one which was quite remarkable. They managed to get Ribeiro, the Brazilian rider, to win a stage as well. And that was quite something, because back in Brazil, where the football team isn't having the best of success at the moment, when he went and won that stage, I understand he became something of a national hero back in Brazil all of a sudden. And I'm trying to spot him down there in that lot. But you look at a green stripe going down. There they are. You can see them moving through. Those are the RMO team. So Ribeiro won a stage, Motte a couple of them, Cravelet won a stage as well. But Alain Austere have been the team that had to be watched all the way through, because they've shown that they could win them under all sorts of circumstances. Aliastir won the team time trial on the first day, and second stage of the first day it was, and then from then onwards they began to go very well, because they had Ken Gyalta win the 14th stage, Ardentijn won the 15th stage, Lieti won the 16th stage. So in fact they won 3 stages on the trot to add to the one they got already at the start of the race when they won the team time trial. Because that team time trial was the one that put Sorensen in the yellow jersey, and Sorensen lasted through until the 5th stage when he crashed and unfortunately cracked his collarbone. And we've heard news, by the way, that he's now back down in Italy. They took him there very quickly on in an ambulance and got him sorted and took him into hospital and repaired his shoulder. He's actually back out training again. Now, let's hope we can keep our fingers crossed that he'll end up riding the Wincanton on Sunday, that he's recovered quick enough. Cracked shoulder blades usually take about 6 weeks, so it might be difficult for him to ride the Wincanton. It just depends how bad the fracture was. But if he does, he's the actual World Cup leader at the moment, Rolf Sorensen, and there's going to be a lot of interest in him riding that one to preserve his position overall. But then after 4 days in the yellow jersey, the Aliastir rider was out, couldn't ride on the stage into Le Havre, and gentlemanly as it was, he didn't sign in the morning, and although Le Mans technically could have taken the yellow jersey, because it was an accident that took Sorensen out, Le Mans didn't put the yellow jersey on his shoulders. But Le Mans had already had it on the first stage, and then he got it back again on the 8th stage after the time trial when Indurain won it, and Le Mans pressed him hard and so managed to get the yellow jersey on his shoulders, which he kept through for the next 4 days. But Le Mans really struggled in the mountains and wasn't the man we have known in the past. He just said he was just feeling weak, and day by day, some days he felt well, some days he felt bad, and so Le Mans lost his jersey. But the press here call him a grand champion now. They didn't have a lot of time for Le Mans. He just used to pick the Tour de France and not ride much else. In fact, most of the time he'd climb off his bike, not even compete in other events. Once he'd gone up to the halfway round, he'd done enough training, went home. But his attitude and his response and his determination to fight back in this Tour has won himself a lot of admirers, particularly I think from some of the press and some of the riders who were a little bit scathing of Greg's lack of attention to other events, and he really has ridden this one, they said, like a grand champion. He just would not give up, he would not sit in the pack. Every time he felt okay, bang, he came and tried to get back and get something, rescue something out of this. I mean, yesterday, his performance in the time trial, he was really going like stink. And to finish 3rd in the time trial yesterday, that was a sheer guts endeavour by Le Mans, because he's had so much illness so far in this Tour, which just left him weak. I don't quite know what it is. They took some blood off him to see if it was something to do with his white or red corpuscles. But nevertheless, Le Mans showed in the time trial yesterday that if he'd been fighting fit, perhaps the result might have been slightly different. And on the stage from Morzine to Aix-les-Bains, Le Mans actually chased after Conichet and Pascal Richard, together with about 4 other riders. They'd escaped, and they got this sort of 23-kilometre thrash down in towards the finish there. And Le Mans really drove this little group of about 4 men. There's Rux and Rouet and Poulnikov and Espinosa. He really drove them hard to get up to the leaders. So it shows that, in fact, jumped across and finished with 11 seconds on. And Le Mans was almost trying to win a stage on a flat as well. And got a lot of time for that sort of response from a man who suddenly realised he wasn't going to win the Tour, but he might as well go and rescue what he could out of it to try and win as many, or get as many brownie points as he could do by attacking consistently. And it was good to see him back in action. Always an innovator, Greg LeMond, riding on his new fiberglass bikes in this Tour. In fact, one of them got nicked about 3 days into the Tour. I'm not quite sure whether they apprehended the thief, but he's done a great job selling it. And when he rides it, it's such an unusual bicycle because it's the normal carbon fiber bicycles. The tubes are stuck into aluminium lugs glued there with aircraft glue, but this particular sort that Greg LeMond's got, they're made in San Francisco, they're handcrafted out there, and they somehow managed to mold or spin the joint where the tubes meet, and you don't actually have a lug. You've got no visible lug, there's like a little web around the lug. So it's a very special looking frame. If anybody sees one being ridden about by an unknown bike rider, then I should think the local law would like to apprehend him and feel his collar. They're worth a lot of money. Great trains for Greg LeMond. So they got enough of them about the place. I think they flew some more over for Greg as well to make sure he wasn't short of. There we are, one man with a crash hat on very sensibly. There's a whole mixed bag of hats today, and at the moment, the last figure I saw, they levied fines of something like 758,000 francs have been levied so far. We're talking Le Mans, and there he is, on one of these black fiberglass bicycles, having a chat with Roger Leger, wearing his hard shell crash helmet. 7th overall, 13 minutes and 13 seconds down on Miguel Indurain, the overall yellow leader.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport. In a
brief word with Director Sport Yves Le Monde has thrown down the gauntlet and started to stream away for it. I said he was looking for a stage victory in the Tour. He tried there on the stage for Aix-les-Bains, and he's now gone for it, going in towards Paris. Le Monde has rocketed off the front. It looks like the gentleman's agreement to trundle in toward the town has now been thrown out the window, and it's Le Monde that's thrown down the gauntlet. Le Monde is on his way. Can he get away from the pack behind? The big consternation. There isn't normally a break as long as this one so far from the finish. And remember, he's got those 8 laps of the Champs-Élysées to do. And look at the rest of the pack. They realise now that Le Monde means business, and he's off. Absolutely tremendous. If anybody was going to say that it's time to get stuck in, lads, it was Greg LeMond, the man they call the Grand Champion, and we wish him the best of luck in the Championship of the World. And let's hope he can pick up something this year to show for his season's endeavour, because he's been riding things like the DuPont Tour, the Tour de Suisse. He climbed off his bike in the Tour of Italy. There's that usual bike with the web. See the web pattern round about the junction between the seat pin, the top tube, and the seat stays. Well, that's the unusual bike. He's looking down at his little cyclometer now, whirring away, the computer showing him his average speed, the distance covered, and of course he will know exactly how far it is to go to finish. Today, this stage of the Tour de France, taking the riders in to finish on the Champs-Élysées. Coming today, covering all the way through to the finish, a total distance of 178 kilometres, and that final laps of the Champs-Élysées circuit, 6¼ kilometres round, and Le Mond's heading for them. Lying 7th overall in general classification, 13 minutes, 13 seconds down. Having held and worn this yellow jersey on 5 days during the Tour de France, now in the familiar Z colours, and look at the pack coming after him. Le Monde is absolutely steaming along there, and he's certainly shown that this field, that he's had enough of sitting in there, and it's time, chaps, to get down to work. You'll see the yellow jersey will always be fairly close up to the front, and look, the Benestos have gone on the front to try and pull back Le Monde. They're trying to have a ceremonial quick first trip round the finish in Paris. They would like that first lap, I think, to be able to take the yellow jersey round as a triumphant one before the big sprinters start. And can the Benestos pull this man back? There he is, still pushing a useful gear round. Greg LeMond, what a fighter, what a character. And a lovely shot there of the glass building. Many of the buildings in Paris have this glass with a mirror front to it, and reflecting back to the field as they go in hot pursuit of Greg LeMond. What a character. And already then the pack, here we are, led by Benestos, which is what we'd expect to see, because there they've got the yellow jersey behind them, and they're going to have to work at it this time. And that's the long string. And there's Greg LeMond. Well, his family will be there to welcome him home. Kathy, I'm sure his wife will be there with his children, his daughter Simone there, and his 2 sons, Jeffrey and Scott, will be there to welcome him home. The LeMond family always take time off to come down to the Tour and look after him and keep in touch with him, and they'll be there. And Greg LeMond is on his way into Paris. Looking back over his shoulder to see, look, that's the damage he's done. Greg LeMond, what a tremendous character in the Tour de France as well. Came into it in 84, took a 3rd place. 85, he took a 2nd place and had a stage win. And then in 86, he went on to win it. And again in 89, on both occasions, he was winning stages. In 89, he won no less than 3 stages in the race. And then, of course, the great victory of his, that time trial victory against Laurent Fignon, will be talked about for a long, long time to come by followers of the cycle sport. 3 times winner of the Tour de France, ex-world champion, thrown down the gauntlet now and going for it as fast as he can do. Greg LeMond still that one little rider spot in the distance, and the field looks like it's slowing down a bit. I think somehow that the pack have lost a lot of the verve, and LeMond is still on the front. I'll have to get my old clock out here and see what sort of gap we've got for Greg LeMond, because if he can stay out there like this and does that first lap of the Champs-Élysées circuit on his own. The whole place is going to erupt because this is the way a champion should go down. That's fighting all the way. And Greg LeMond is fighting. Look at that smooth style. He's travelling now at a steady 30 miles an hour. And that's the speed yesterday, by the way, in the time trial. Miguel Indurain in that time trial. The average speed was 47.665 kilometres per hour. And a quick bit of arithmetic, if you have got your calculator there, is almost unnecessary because 48 kilometres per hour in English language is 30 miles per hour. So, in fact, just 0.4 or less than 0.4 was the difference between travelling at 30 miles an hour and just under. That was Miguel Indurain yesterday. So at the moment, Greg LeMond is doing just the same thing. Greg LeMond was only some 48 seconds down on Indurain yesterday in the time trial. And here he is again, still travelling. And the gap is now 26 seconds by courtesy of television rather than my stopwatch. And you see all the barriers out along the side of the road. The streets have been stopped of traffic and they're out there cheering Greg LeMond on his way through into Paris. The rest of the pack then still behind him. And this is quite a useful move on Greg's part because there are a couple of twists and turns, and then you get down onto the run-in alongside the Seine. And then he'll know when he can see the jolly old Eiffel Tower in the distance how far he's got to go, because they start the circuit not far from the Eiffel Tower. And the ever watchful gendarme there with the little yellow kite, the flag to warn the riders of obstructions in the centre, because one of those that brought down the riders when Sorensen came down with an almighty bang. What a lot of crashes we've had. Lietti fell on that stage before they started the Gap L'Alpe d'Huez. He won the stage the day before and then crashed into a vehicle when he was trying to swerve to avoid a kiddie, and had some very bad injuries, cracked his collarbone and had a fracture of his femur as well. But here Greg LeMond has kept out of physical trouble, but he's had all the problems of his blood and this little strange virus, but he's now back in form. Just look at him ploughing along here. Now they're going very close to the old Renault factory here alongside the Issy. You see the barges down below. Most of these old buildings around here were connected with the Renault factory, and there's one of them, an enormous one on an island right in the middle of the Seine, just very close to where we are now. And there the gap is up to 33 seconds because Renault have moved out of town, and bit by bit they're developing some of the old properties. Massive amount of development going on in this part of Paris, and there the gap is 33 seconds. LeMond still concentrating hard, as he did. Remember when if you watched that time trial 2 years ago from Versailles into Paris, when he managed to beat Laurent Fignon by 8 seconds and pull back to like 51 seconds in 21 kilometres. Nobody thought it was possible. He got to pull back. There goes the yellow car. Looks like they're going to drop in the Mavic service vehicle. LeMond had to pull back 2 seconds a kilometre in 21 kilometres and more, and nobody said he could do it. He damn well did it. And this is the sort of style of the man. See where his hands are now? He's done wind tunnel tests to ensure that he can get the best amount of slipstream, and they prove that if you put your hands inside there, it's a way of actually improving the airflow over your body. LeMond, always an innovator. And in fact, on the very wet day when we're up in the Alps, there's a lovely cartoon next day in the Lake Keep, where they had a bicycle with two rowing oars tied to it, and it got on it Le Mans machine. So they'd invent a bike with paddles on for riding through the very bad wet conditions. But he's still ploughing away, and there the Banestos on the front. Now then, there's the Banestos want to go through with the yellow jersey, the Triumph at the front, but I would have thought somebody like the Motorola's with Phil Anderson would want to launch one off. Steve Bauer has not had the best of tours at the moment. He's lying 97th overall, and would be looking, I think, for some improvement. He's finished second on the stage into Paris in the past, so I would have thought, oh yeah, we're going over the Seine. This is the bridge over the river. There in the distance is the Eiffel Tower. They're going to turn right here, right alongside one of the major offices of Renault. They're just passing a lovely celebration going on. The Area 92, they've just come through, have been having a bit of a party in the park just there. He's now turned right. They'll have cheered him through. The music has gone at full blast. So the Parc Saint-Germain, another one on a little island, and he's heading down on in now toward the trees. This is one of the speedways into Paris, and it drops down alongside the river, especially to streamline the traffic into the town centre, and it's LeMond that's going for, and everybody's come out to cheer him. There's massive work on the left-hand side, big development, and that in fact is where Eurosport are going to have their head offices, in the TF1 building, and the rest of the riders coming in. That's that lovely park. See that building down there just by the edge of the park? That's where the celebrations have been going on from the Area 92 in Paris, where they've just come through, and they're turning sharp right. There's something, it must be 40 seconds now back to Greg LeMond. He certainly has gone for this one. and opened up quite a considerable gap. What a beautiful sight, the river, and it's a lovely day in Paris, just the right temperature for a bike ride, just the right temperature for spectator. There in the distance is the Eiffel Tower, and here Greg LeMond, urged on by this great crowd. They'll see the number 1 on his back, they'll see the Z, they'll know who it is, they'll have heard from the public address up front that he's going for it. Now he dips right here and drops down alongside the river. There's another road that goes straight on for normal traffic, but he's going down here to the right. There's a crowd out cheering him on his way, and this is the fast route into Paris from that side of the town on this special road that's been created out into the Seine for motor car traffic. And he's on his own down there. The other side of the river, you see all those buildings. That's where I should think probably there's more cement made in this part of Paris than there is in the rest of the country. I've never seen so many cement mixers in all my life. I don't mean the little hurdy-gurdy ones you have in your garden. I mean, a thumping great big thing because there's so much cement used in concrete construction now, and there's all the bars on the right-hand side with some of the grit and aggregate on it as well. That's it, he's past the cement factories, and the field's still stringing on behind him. If he keeps this up, Greg LeMond might get on the Champs-Élysées first. Well, my goodness, if he does, the whole place will erupt.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport.
Greg LeMond, and the gap is still around about some 40-odd seconds. We'll try and get a new time check for you, and you can see down there they're on the edge of the Seine on that road that's been completely blocked for traffic. They're going up parallel to the Avenue Port Kennedy, and then they'll be swinging up onto that Avenue Port Kennedy to New York in just a moment, going past the edge of the Trocadero. And there, LeMond is out of that one, past the Trocadero ahead of him, and this is his sharp turn round. And in fact, just above here, we may get a chance to see it on the skyline, is an actual replica of the flame of the Statue of Liberty. It's on that particular part, but we've now gone back to the main field, so we probably won't see it. But they found the moulds here in Paris, where, of course, the Statue of Liberty was made, and that particular flame has been recast, and it's sitting ahead of these riders. So it looks like Greg LeMond, the American, going underneath the flame of the Statue of Liberty. That's all that sees there at the moment, not the whole thing, just the flame. And these are the main pack chasing after him. I say chasing, nobody seems to be too bothered at the moment, do they? Well, the sprinters will begin to lick their lips and want to try and get somebody out there from their teams. I'd have thought probably that the chase will come from the riders from the Carrera team, because Abdul Japarov stands a chance. At the other team, up comes the L'Equipe car. And in there, the organising people. Yes, Albert Bouvet, nice to see him in the back there of the car, one of the directors of the course, and very much concerned with the organisation of this great race. And there, Greg LeMond, and the Eiffel Tower. He should be getting to the left-hand side. We should be seeing that there is the Trocadero to the left. There, he's going underneath it, and that's LeMond. All the traffic has been brought to a halt, as you can see, and the riders have gone down under there as well. Greg is... Now, there's a Statue of Liberty. There's a flame in front. If you see on the top of the bridge, right up that gold thing, that is the flame, a replica of the Statue of Liberty, and LeMond is there now. It's a tourist trip of Paris, isn't it? Well, there we are. The riders on the front, the Bonestos, waiting, I think, for the whole of Paris to erupt, because there's more Spaniards along this finishing straight in the Champs-Élysées, I think, than any other nation. They certainly have come in great force to wave their banners and cheer on their compatriots, and the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain safely in that pack at the moment, leading by 3 minutes and 36 seconds on Gianni Bodno. There, Roger Leger is urging him on. Come on, man, just keep it cool, just hold it cool. Great deal of enthusiasm here. Mr. Gianni must be very pleased indeed with his outlay on Greg LeMond, because even though he's not winning this race, he's doing what Greg LeMond always wants to do. He wants to have a go and show the people that he's still a champion. And it looks like he needs some more water as well, or is he just chucking that one away? So Greg has decided to go for this one. It was a long way out for him to set off in pursuit of victory of this final stage. I say normally you get a big bunch sprint it, but has LeMond got the ability to stay away? One or two usually slide. I think when Jeff Pierce won the stage, he clopped off in the final lap on the Champs-Élysées. Nobody really bothered about this American, Jeff Pierce, but he took them all by surprise and went and got it as well. But normally you get big people thundering down to try and win the stage. We've had time trial stage finishes in the Tour de France in the past, in in here. We've had, of course, I remember great days in the rally when I used to go out there when Rally won 6 stages on the trot in the Tour de France. They also won it into Paris here, and Knater won it 1 year. Carstens was a winner. We had a time trial in the morning, won by Mertens, and then we had the circuit race in the afternoon, and Carstens won that one. And of course, some of the big sprinters here, the roll call of the sprinters who won the finish here. Le Mans won, of course, the time trial in 1989. Before it was Van Poppel, Jeff Pearce 87, Bontempi was in the race in 86, Van der Arden 84, Matthias in 85, Hino 82, Mertens 81, another great sprinter. Hino's won several times, but that wasn't the result of the sprint, that was time trials. And the field then going past the National Assembly in the background, the equivalent of the House of Parliament, and he's still out there on his own. Le Mans is going along with an absolute flotilla of vehicles round about him. He'll be able to come up onto this finishing circuit of the Champs-Élysées with 8 tours to do, 8 laps, and if he gets up that finishing straight still in the, as I'm sure he will do, because he goes along here and he has to drop down left, and there we are. Still, Greg LeMond is in the lead. On the left-hand side, the Jardin des Tuileries, with the spectators hanging over the edge of the railings. And when he goes to top, he'll have to turn left again and come down the other side, where the fairground going full tilt, and I'm sure the fairground won't do so much business at the moment. A lot of people are going to leap to the barriers and look over the top. There we are, the rest of the pack. To the left of where they are now is the Place de la Concorde, and the whole of that area, the Place de la Concorde, which is the hub really of Paris for traffic, has been brought to a halt. The roads have been cleared. This is where he turns left and drops down under a short little bridge. And there it is, the bridge in front. Don't turn right, please. That's the way to the Louvre. The Louvre's in the distance, in the background. There's the Garden de Tuileries you see in front of you here. The riders are on the right-hand side of it. Greg LeMond's about to come on the left-hand side. And the crowd enormous. This to the left of where you're looking is where the Seine is. And here on the front, Jean-Francois Bernard for the Banesto squad. Le Mans is out of the tunnel and turning sharp left, and he's going down the other side of the Tuileries as they haven't hit the tunnel yet. Look at the crowd there. They've even stopped. Well, in fact, there's a wheel going. That'll be a fine place to see the Tour de France if you're up there on that wheel. And he's looking back to see it. He's still got a useful lead. All the vehicles behind him. Once it's over half a minute, you can actually put the following vehicles in there, and that, of course, one useful thing then is that the bunch can't see the rider in front because of all the traffic. There's the blackboard out for Greg LeMond to show him what time he's got. He's heading straight down towards the Place de la Concorde. He's going to try and take the shortest line. I think he'll start to move across towards the left for that sweeping left-hander, then the sweeping right-hander, and he's doing that now. There goes Greg LeMond, just chipping the corner, the crowd erupting. The man has been 3 times Tour de France victor is coming in. This is an absolute lap of honour, although he's only lying at the moment in 7th place overall. He's not going down without a fight. He's bouncing over the pavé, past all the grandstands and down and heading up now towards the Champs-Élysées as Greg LeMond passed the Coca-Cola enclave there, sponsors of large sections of this race, including every stage, and they're trying to say go forward. They want to move this traffic forward. It looks like the bunch must be coming down on him as Greg LeMond then heading up the Champs-Élysées. The crowd encouraging and there all the way along the line. They're urging this man on. This is where the finish is going to be. They've now got 8 laps to go. 8 to go for Greg LeMond, first man over the line. And the packed crowd know they've got a man here who's determined to throw down the gauntlet to the rest of the riders. There's a massive screen there, which you probably just saw, and that is a television screen picking up for the people in the VIP area. They can see it up on that big screen. They've also got screens in front of them, so they're kept in contact with the race as LeMond is now off there up the Champs-Élysées trying to win this stage. Now it's something like 50 kilometers to go at the moment. By the way, what a beautiful shot there of the needle. That's one of the replicas. It came all the way over from, not replicas, a real one, all the way from Egypt, rather like Cleopatra's needle in England. I think it's part of the set or something. Certainly it's a similar job, and they had to tow it across on a boat, or on a special boat on which they towed across from Egypt and erected it there, rather like the one we've got in London. And here in Paris, the sun is shining, the spectators enjoying themselves. Le Mans then on the first pass, and there he goes up and this I can tell you, up this road here, it's a drag all the way up, and it just hurts the legs. They've been riding now, they'll have done 3,900 odd kilometers when they finish this race. And Greg LeMond has got this long way to go up here, and he's got to do it 8 times. And look at the blue, white and red tricolour along all the side of the Champs-Élysées. The town is on fate. The Tour de France is the culmination of a lot of hard work for a lot of people. The towns block the roads off. The gendarmes clear the traffic. The work that's done to smooth the race through. Alan Pye was saying to me the other day at Futuroscope, when they went out training last year before they actually went on the time trial course, they saw this great big island and they thought, we've got to go around that. That'll really slow us down. By the time they came back for the actual race a few days later, they built a road straight through the island so that the race could go through it, the time trial, without hindrance. Of course, when the time trial was over, they had to take all the tarmac up and make the island a proper island again. Well, that's France, that's the Tour, that's the excitement. Romans is up the top and it's all downhill here as he wishes round there. That's something like a kilometre from the bottom of the road right the way up toward the top, and they can see him now. Le Mans goes down one side, the bunch come up the other side, they turn at the top, and they'll slow down quite a bit on the turn because it's difficult for them to whiz round as fast as one rider. But right now, Spaniards all the way along the course here, absolutely elated. They can see Banesto's on the front, and Le Mans is waving. There he's waving to the riders on the other side of the road. What a nerve! He just waved to them. That is absolutely amazing. Le Mans is still ploughing away. Surely he can't keep out there all the way, but let's wish him the best of luck as that pack is going up towards the top of the Champs-Élysées, turning by the Place d'Étoile, the Charles de Gaulle, and then back down again towards the Place de la Concorde. Well, I put my watch on the top turn, but the cameras didn't go back and watch the swing going round that one, so I can't give you the exact time at the moment, but it will come up shortly. Le Mans still, it looks effortless. There they are, they're round. Well, that's 1 minute and 2 seconds since Le Mans went round that corner. I would think there's probably about 10 seconds from front to back, so he's probably got about a 45-second lead at the moment. And of course, the telephoto lens will give you probably a distorted view of the race, and still Le Mans is away, and the field here streaming up in. But there the field have sent one man out, and one man going after this man Le Mans, and the rest of the pack, let's see who's setting this one off at the moment, just to see if it's a coordinated chase. The one rider, oh well, I might have known that Toshiba would have a go for this one. With the one rider now trying to get across the gap, and Le Mans out in front. It's Louvieux going for this one. Toshiba trying to restore some glory from their Tour de France so far.
Eurosport. The Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport in association with Isostar.
The gap between Le Mans and this chasing pack is 53 seconds, and here he is, Le Mans turning and down under that tunnel again at the far end of the course. We'll black out as we go down there. You can see the pack down chasing after our one lone leader, and the pack is splitting under the attempts to stay with Le Mans, who's really gone for it. Louvieux looking over his shoulder, the Toshiba rider who started the chase on his own, now looks like he's got a workmanlike group coming up too, including the colours of the Lotto squad, as Le Mans has come out of the tunnel and is now going back down the Tuileries, heading towards the Champs-Élysées and the Place de la Concorde. So Greg LeMond burying himself here. He threw down the gauntlet. He took off going into Issy-les-Moulineaux and over the Seine. He went for an early one. He'd had a word with his team manager. They said, yes, go. And already when we had a view back, I could see some of his Z teammates getting towards the front to try and slow down the chase. If this happened, I can't remember anybody coming into the Tour de France with these final 8 laps of the Champs-Élysées and staying out all the time and winning. But Le Mans can do magic. This man, when he puts his mind to it, is undoubtedly a champion of the world. And he looks so calm and relaxed, but he's averaging along here just short of 30 miles an hour on his bicycle. And they know here, the crowd around the course, they're watching one of the world's great bike riders in action. And right down there, the heaving pack has come round the corner, and they're going towards the Place de la Concorde as Le Mans starts to move out of it as well. I rather think that snake there, that little group in front, is probably a bit too unwieldy to coordinate a proper chase. You need about maybe 6 or 8 men at the most to put a proper chase together, or a complete pack led by one team. So there, this long string. I'm certain that we'll have a look, we hope at the moment. I'm sure the careers must begin to do something here. The other team that would like to get a stage victory here would be the Buckler team, and also the Panasonics would like to get Ludwig in contention. Look at them coming across that jump now. He really has gone for it. This has disturbed all the normal way of things, because normally they come on the Tour de France, onto the finishing here with their 8 laps, more or less together. Somebody would go, I think Skibby went away last year. They really mean after a lap or so, and from then on in, it's teamwork to get your sprinters in place. One or two people get maybe 10 or 15 seconds lead, and then you have to keep it tight for the finish. But Le Mans has absolutely blown it apart. He's gone and thrown convention out the window, as ever. Trust Le Mans, and he went for it a long way out when you thought one lone rider would never even get into Paris on his own, let alone have a complete lap that he already has done. And he's now gone through that finishing area for the second time. There is we've got all the jerseys together, the yellow, the green and the spotted jersey. There's a VIP enclosure with the posh people with the special tickets watching the race, and we've got a top view of the finish as well. So there's a great number of VIP people watching this race today. The sponsors are there as well. They've come from far and wide to see the end of this great race. And there are 2, 4, 6, about 8 men. Now that's a useful pack if they can work together. 2, 4, 6, 8. And let's have a look. There's some more up in front. There's another one. Now that might be unwieldy, because that little group looks to me a bit too unwieldy. And where's Le Mans? Good Lord. He's absolutely hammering along. But up this rise, you can see how his legs, he's turning still a very big gear, doesn't seem to drop down a notch at all. He's rolling it up the other side, keeping right up against the edge of the curb in the centre of the road, where normally people on this part of the Champs-Élysées, you see that dotted line you'll find on a Saturday, you can hardly move because they park cars all at the centre there. They park cars anywhere in Paris, they park them on people's feet if you're not careful. Anywhere you can leave a car, up on the pavements, they just abandon them almost, and that's one place where they leave them. But of course they put that central reservation down, stopped all the traffic and stopped all the people from parking. And I wonder where that gentleman got his Range Rover back they towed away yesterday from the Champs-Élysées with the bikes on top. Little did he know, the tour was coming, and off went his car. Now there is Le Mans going down one side, just getting the view of this little lot, and we've got a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. This must be the camera. I'm not quite sure it's on a cherry picker or whether we've got it on top of the Arc de Triomphe. But certainly it's giving us a lovely long shot of the Champs-Élysées, and Le Mans is going down the other side. Well, this really is great. Well, he looks like he's, I keep saying he's slowing a bit, but he pushes such big gears, and he does it almost effortless, as you're not conscious of the speed. I mean, this man's travelling at well over 30 miles an hour, because it's downhill on this part of the Champs-Élysées. They've all cottoned onto now who is, yes, they begin to move the motorbikes forward. You see Le Mans, it's a bit of a distorted sign, but the officials are saying move on your motorcycles. See all them now, they're trying to get them forward because they think that group might come. It's certainly not 50 seconds now, I would think, for Le Mans, and that little pack behind him are closing up, so they're moving out. These are the press photographers. They're being told by the officials with the baton that they've got to get on and out of the way so that the chasers can see Le Mans up in front. And I rather think that he might get caught on this lap by that little group behind working very hard. But if so, he stands a good chance of sitting in with them and adding some firepower to the group as well, because he's got enormous reserves of strength as Greg LeMond. Great time trialist, good all-rounder. See him up in the man. And as Le Mans emerges out of the gloom of the tunnel, hidden in the darkness, is the pack chasing after him. And that was 6 seconds to the pack behind him, and there are a nice number of useful riders. Looks like Edwin van Hooydonck's got across this one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We have 18 riders after Le Mans. They were some 6 seconds down on him. They might well pull him in on that climb up the Champs-Élysées, but let's hope that on the third pass through here, Greg LeMond can get himself another ceremonial pass over the finish line. The crowd urging him on, but they can see right behind that it's very close for this group around. Another little group coming up well behind him as well. So there's a lot of speed merchants wanting to get across there and get this stage today. And Le Mans is the man that started it all. And he's coming up then for his third time across the finishing line. Will he get there this time? on the pavé of the Place de la Concorde, his body now being buffeted by that saddle, the handlebars, the vibrations, the high speed, high pressure on his tyres will be sending up the vibrations through his whole frame after covering now some 3,900 kilometres in this, the 1991 Tour de France, being brought to you live on Eurosport. And there's that chasing group coming after him as well. The wind, as you can see by the Coca-Cola flags, is behind him on the run up the Champs-Élysées. So that is to the advantage of Le Monde, as far as he's concerned, to hang on in there for a bit longer. And this is the pack coming up behind him. And yes, the Bucklers, I might have thought of, they were certainly in there. Quite a number of hopeful riders, and look at another group coming up behind as well, and they're going like trains, and it looks like Shoulders on the front of this one. The Aliastiers are in there, there's plenty of Panasonics there as well. So the pack at the moment has split. It's in all sorts of order. Well, normally on the Champs-Élysées they keep fairly well together and little groups drift off the front, but now we've got quite a sizable number of riders trying to form a front pack. There's Fignon on the front, and the yellow jersey in the centre of this pack. Look at the riders going for this one. A lot of the top men have missed this one. Just seen Tunisia go through. He won't want to go for the sprint. A lot of these riders at the back, the domestiques. There's Conichet, who's not domestic. I just spotted him as well, the back of that pack. There, he's missed this one as well. I'd have thought if he'd got to go, he should have gone with Le Monde from way out. And Le Monde chose to go on his own, Quarterwall napping, but he could have done with some help, I think, of somebody like Conichet, maybe another couple of riders from other teams. And here comes the pack chasing him. The speed of this group, I don't know how, if at all possible, that Le Monde could hang on against them. He's still drawing away though. That shot, I think at one time they were closing, and he looks like he's gaining a bit more ground on them. This is absolutely brilliant. He looks over his shoulder. He needn't do that really, as far as he's concerned, because if when he turns around the top here, he'll actually be able to see them going across the other side, and therefore he'll be able to understand just what the actual gap is between him and the chasers. It's getting towards the top of this climb, up the gradual drag of the Champs-Élysées, and it certainly does hurt the legs after a while. Our telephoto lens is slightly exaggerating the gap between these riders, or sorry, slightly, not exaggerate, the other reverse of exaggerate, you know what I mean? It's making it look more compact than it actually is with a telephoto lens. But Le Monde changing gear at the top, and I would have thought that as he goes round here, he's got to make a decision, so to persist with that. Look at all the photographers coming out. Watch your toes, chaps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 riders there. 2, 4, 6, 8 there. So that's 26 riders, and I think they'll collect Le Monde, and if those 26 start to work properly, then that's it, I would have thought. Le Monde's looking back over his shoulder to see who's coming up. Certainly Zed have got some help in that pack at the moment, and as ever, the Butlers sending somebody up, looking a bit like Edwin van Hooijdonk, doing the chasing, and Greg Le Monde is being caught by that group, and at the top of the Champs-Élysées, the main pack is behind them. A long shot of the 26 men or so in the front group, and the rest of the 157 riders that started out today are just behind. So there they are. They've still got the, in fact, they're beginning to move, I think, yes, they've still got the cars there. So at the moment, as far as they're concerned, that yellow car, the neutral service, is still there from Mavic. And the group going through, there's Louvieux, who tried to go across on his own. And where's the main pack? There's still some distance back. The foreshortening giving an illusion that they're closing up. I'll just put a little time check on this one to see if we can get some understanding of the gap. And it's coming up now, and I would think the gap is probably just roughly around about 32 seconds. That's a pure unofficial time check here, but I make it about 32 seconds between that pack and the in the front, the leading group, and the main field. Also, with a big number of riders like we've got here, the gap between the tail end of the men in front and the peloton itself, what a beautiful shot of Paris that was. It's not... oh, as ever, Rolf Jarman, he's always in the action here, this fellow. Or was that Wegmüller? I'll have to wait till he goes back again, because certainly the... yes, Wegmüller, so the Wyman team have got that. Looks like Duke Lassell in there as well. So Duke Lascelles, who started out today wearing a seafaring captain's hat for some unknown reason, because he's captain of the squad anyway, has been trying, I think, to defend Greg LeMond's position in that group. He went across with it. He wouldn't have been working. He just sat in the group to try and slow it down, but it didn't work. And I rather think this is too big a group of riders for it to stay away. Yeah, 28 seconds. I thought that my clock was around about the 30 seconds when I did my unofficial time check. And I rather think that this little group over in front might well get caught. And the pack behind, 30 seconds. As Brian Home is in this little group at the moment for the Histor team, and the rest of the field not far behind them.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is
And we have a chance to look at the tail end of the main pack, and down there we switch from the tail enders to the front of this group of riders here who are trying their hand to stay away. I've just got a suspicion that the numbers of riders here is a bit uncontrollable, and that also there's riders of varying abilities too. We've got some of the Colombians in here who don't like the speed. We've got one or two of the Wyman team in there, and Tonton Taffy looks a bit like Lawrence Roche drifting through the front of that little pack. But a lot of riders in here, I think they're not used to riding together in a combined form, but certainly the bucklers could do well here, because they're the sort of people who know how to drive a group along. Brian Home is on the front at the moment, so Home driving this one forward, and the rest of the riders, they're more interested, I think, in looking back to see where the main pack has got, and that last lap took them just on 7 minutes to go round, so they're lapping at about 7 minutes, maybe 7 minutes 10 seconds per lap for these riders on this circuit. And that was, if I got my arithmetic correct, that's the fourth of the passes they're going to have on this. There, Anderson on the front. I thought that he would start to go for it. The riders now in this pack here, there's a lot of big riders, and there the Ariosters going on the front, and Panasonic Sport Life are going on the front as well. And there's Charlie Motti in there. The RMO with their, well, Ribeiro was their best sprinter so far in the Tour when he won himself a stage, but I don't think he'd class himself with the big hitters. The lot of consternation in the main pack then that the big men haven't caught up with that big leading group, and there they are driving it across. The tactics will come, by the way, 28 seconds. If you look back down that leading group, I rather have got a suspicion that the Panasonic riders in that group are doing no work. So obviously Ludwig hasn't made it across, and they're going to sit on the back. And one by one, riders who've got a better sprinter in the main pack will decide the thing they've got to do is to sit at the back and wait for their man to come up. So the snake is working. That's always a sure sign that nobody wants to come off the wheels and take over the lead at the front. And there it is. Look at that snake. This, the 22nd stage of the Tour de France, the balloons flying in the air, the town en fête, the Spaniards here to welcome home the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain, and who is going to win this stage. Ramon tried it and went for it and got those 3 laps lead on the Champs-Élysées circuit. He's been absorbed by this group, which is splitting. It's a very fragmented bunch. They're not working very well, and that, I think, will be in the hands and the favour of the main pack, which is still some half-minute back behind them. So the little group here of riders splitting in the middle. And yes, it is uncontrolled. You can see that there's no combine work going on. Edwin van Hooydonk here on the front of this one. Now, there is a big rider indeed if it comes to a sprint. But I don't think I think he wanted to go off and try and get away from this little pack. Looks like Yakimov is in there as well. Now he can provide some firepower to this little group. The Postobon team not normally up there going very strongly on this sort of, but he's pedaling quite neatly at the moment, so we could probably aid a little bit of this chase. Van Hooydonk moving forward. There's a powerful man indeed. And winner of the Tour of Flanders this year. He's won it in previous year. Oh, and Guido Bontempi is in there. Well, Bontempi, I wouldn't have thought that Bontempi, who's actually won the stage here in the Tour in the past, he won in 1986. He is a very strong sprinter indeed, and probably could show well in the finishing sprint. There, Wegmuller going through for the Wyman team. They've got a couple of riders in this little one, because in there with Wegmuller, they've also got Willems, Ludwig Willems. And there's quite a big group of riders here in this pack. And let's see what sort of action they're doing to drive it along. That's the split group, I think, where Wegmüller in the back of that little pack. Let's see if I can pick out the groups. No, Ed van Hooydonk's in there. So it's perhaps it's reformed. It's trouble to get a big group like this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, and here's Fignon leading the chase along with the Motorola's on his wheel. Fignon, of course, a Parisien himself with his Castorama team. They're well placed overall because they've got Laurent Fignon 6th on general classification, Luc Leblanc 5th on general classification, and here still ploughing away Edwin van Hooydonk, really making them go for it. The chase is on from behind. They're pushing them through one at a time. At the back you can see that the Motorola's going for it. Andy Bishop driving that forward for the Motorola team. And one or two of the Panasonics beginning to come up as well to the front. I can't quite see why Fignon was going to try and close that gap down. Their team doesn't have what we would call an out-and-out sprinter, but I suppose Fignon would just like to show in front of his crowd that he's not beaten by any means. Before this tour, many people have started right on. Edwin van Hooydonk is drifting away. He's just going away on his own. And so Edwin van Hooydonk is going away from this little lot here, and Bontempi's trying to get across to. No, it isn't Bontempi who's going across. My mistake, it's number 19. I thought that Bontempi was in there a moment ago, but this is Zaina. So the Italian who rides here with this team, he's now going across to try and get up there. And is he going to do it? And obviously the Wyman bloke here, Willems, doesn't seem to be too concerned. Yes, he is going through. I thought Willems for a moment was just going for a ride, but he's burying himself on the front. Edwin van Hooydonk's on his wheel. Willems, van Hooydonk, but the pack is coming up very quickly indeed as the career rider Enrique Zaina eases back. And look at the main field as well. Well, has Van Hooydonk gone too soon, too hard, because that will probably tire him out. He ought to have been lead-out man, I suppose, for Neidham. Brian Holmes still trying to get away at the front, the Histor rider. So Brian Holmes it is, and the rest of the pack coming up quick again. So it looks like they're all going to be reabsorbed. Brian Holmes on the front, swinging round and dropping down onto that tunnel. Not much now between the tail end of the leading group and the main field. They might well come together as they disappear down that tunnel. Might not be long now before they catch them.
Eurosport. The Tour de France.
Fignon leading them through there because they haven't quite absorbed the breakaway group at the front. That is a real mixed bag of teams there. The Wyman team have got a couple of riders in there. There's riders from Panasonic and Histor and you name it. There's most of them have got there. So perhaps this pack here are prepared to let them get away with it. But Fignon's still on the front, boring along flat out, towing that field along at a great rate or not. Looks like he's eased back now to give somebody else a chance to go for it and to go for that pack up in front. That little group of riders having to settle their differences and on this long slope up towards the top of the climb, the dragger it is, and one rider slipped off the front. It looks as if it might be Brian Holmes again. We'll wait till we drop down there. He's been very active on the front of the pack. The band's playing, the flags are waving, and everybody's having a great time in the crowd watching a fascinating race as ever in the tour. Look at that shape as they're going zigzagging, following the man in front for maximum slipstream. The one on the front makes that course. Lovely shot from a helicopter of the Arc de Triomphe, and there we are all the way down as they turn to the top of the Champs-Élysées, one of those famous streets, I suppose, in the world, and probably has got more cinemas on both sides than anywhere else I know in any town. Apart from that, lots of other glorious shops as well. Great place to come for a holiday, great place to come, as far as these riders are concerned, to finish the pain, the anguish, the suffering, the intense heat. The temperatures have been in the 40s. They've had bucketing down with rain. The Alpe d'Huez, some of the last riders had to ride up in monsoon conditions. And then we had the following days, we had that terrible storm as well, when the clouds were down and the riders had to ride through the clouds. They were so low. These riders you're watching now, the giants of the road, riding in a race that first was founded way back in 1903 to sell the copies of a newspaper called Lotto, which is now part of L'Équipe. Wegmüller back in there again with that little group, and they're all round safely. Well, they're trying to get little numbers of riders away, and Edwin van Hooydonk has given over now to his teammate, so it looks like they're trying the old one too. There's Yakimov at the back of this little group as well. Yakimov already got a stage under his belt, and I think they're concerned about the main pack coming up from behind, looking back over the shoulders, and they're easing a little bit. I think they're finding it too much. Yakimov, winner of the Elabanta Mac on stage, made it very much a Soviet-dominated race again. Abdul Jafarov won a couple of stages, Konashev won a stage, Yakimov won a stage, 4 stages. The riders from the Soviet Union all riding for different teams though. Carrera being the sponsors of the team that Abdul Jafarov rides for, Carrera Jeans, and of course Yakimov rides for Panasonic Sport Life, and the TVM rider Konashev in the colour. We've just seen a TVM rider drifting off the front of that one, and it's still all systems go. See, the riders in the second group here, sitting on the tops of the handlebars, I think they've decided that they've just got to keep a constant tempo and not bust the gut, and that big pack will come behind, and the little group in front, I think they're coming to the conclusion, isn't strong enough to stay away. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Edwin van Hooijdonk has got back up to it again, so that's another move. He's always having a go, Van Hooijdonk, and as ever, Phil Anderson on the front, yellow jerseys out of trouble by being third back from his wheel. And looking down that pack of riders, grimacing in the heat, there goes Gerard Rouet. Many of these riders without the Crashat, so I suppose we've now topped over the 800,000 francs fines for Crashat not wearing in the Tour de France. They're going to resolve this one before the World Championships with threats of riders' strikes and non-payment of fines and all sorts of things. So the Tour de France has been full of incident as ever. We've had like Brazilian winning a stage, we've had the Soviet riders winning 4 stages, we've had some tremendous things happening. The crashes when Sorensen, the Dane taking over the yellow jersey of race leader. Because Le Mans, an American, wore the yellow jersey as race leader as well, and we've had now the Spaniard in the yellow jersey coming up in that main pack, Miguel Indurain, and only the 4th of the riders from Spain with a chance of being the overall victors in it, because in the past Behamontes, Ocana, Delgado, all Spaniards have won the Tour of France. The Spanish now look like they've got a 4th in the shape of Miguel Indurain, riding somewhere in the midst of that main pack. Not concerned about winning the stage overall today. It's not the job of the yellow jersey to outsprint them all down the finishing straight. Nice if you can do it, but that's not his technique at all. This little group at the front still going strong. We've had people like Yakimov, Kasani, Van Hooijdonk, Zaina, Williams, Wegmüller, Holm, Le Monde, Duclassel, all in that main pack at the front. And it's Yakimov just easing off the front and looking back, and also Wegmüller's looked back now, and they're still persisting. But it certainly has split. There was something like about, I don't know, 8 plus 18, 26 riders, and most of them have gone back into there, just leaving this 3, 6, 9 men on the front. And that's a nice working group. 9 men is about right to stay away if the rest of the field will let them. And there we are. The Delgado second from the front, the yellow jersey just on his wheel. And the main pack very close. It's a little group, so as one lot comes out the tunnel, the other lot enter the tunnel. That tunnel is only something around about, what, 40 metres long, so it's not a very big gap for these riders heading off towards the Place de la Concorde and the next lap of this finishing stage, the Tour de France.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport in association.
A wonderful shot of the main pack and the riders looking up over the heads of the men in front. Some of them you can see quite relaxed about the state of play, not wishing to enter the hurly-burly affairs. It's Pedro Delgado on the front with his Banesto team behind him, and there in the yellow jersey, still at the head of affairs, is Miguel Indurain, who's well on his way towards winning this Tour de France. Here we are with those 3 laps to go for the riders in the Champs-Élysées, and Laurent Roche is going through. I thought I spotted him earlier before. Laurent Roche, well, what a top and a tail of this one is. His brother Stephen Roche on day 1 was in the toilets at the time when they were getting his team organised, the team time trial. He got the wrong start. He thought it was 22 minutes past 4. It was in fact 10 past 4. They couldn't find him, or at least they said afterwards they didn't know where he was, and of course he couldn't hear the PA message. So Stephen Roche was out of the Tour on the first full day of racing. Here's his brother in there, Laurent Roche, who's lying overall in 153rd place. 2 hours, 59 minutes and 25 seconds down on Miguel Indurain, the overall race leader. But Roche is going to finish the Tour this year, and I'm sure back in Ireland they'll be celebrating that with an Irishman still in this race, because unfortunately Sean Kelly and Martin Early were out of the race when they had that bad stomach trouble, the salmonella, the poisoning, when the whole of the PDM team were out and back home feeling very ill indeed. We wish them all the best of luck and a speedy recovery, and be back in action, we hope, soon, lads, because here though for Ireland, Lawrence Roche is still ploughing away with this little lot, and that's great to see. Brian Holm is in there from Denmark. There's one of the Spaniards, I think it's Maury Pratt, that's in there. We've got from the Panasonic squad, the Soviet Union rider Yakimov. So, and also Jidanov is in there for the Arios team. That's Yakimov on the back for the Soviet Union. This is a real mixed bag of nationalities at the moment. There is the Spanish rider, and we've also got one from Belgium, and Edward van Hooijdonk as well from Belgium, and Brian Holm from Denmark. And this is Laurent Roche at the front. Roche on the front from Willems of the Weimann team. So Willems has dropped onto his wheel. Both of them wearing number 9. It's the slowest man or the least important man in the team, but number 1 is the most important man, and both of them are number 9s now at the back there. So Lawrence Roche in there with the Weimann Eddie Merckx team, and they're coming up very quickly now because they begin to realise that this might be dangerous. There's a little move at the front, and Toshiba coming into the action yet again. We've seen Luvio before in this lot, and drifting back there for the Lotto team, and that was number 69, Patrick Verschuren from Belgium. And at the back, Van Hooijdonk. So I've got all these riders at the moment, just need to properly ID the rider from the Lotto squad, which looks a bit like Maury Pratt for me, the winner of the Tour of Spain. There's Ekimov on the front going through, and in there also from the TVM squad, this is Jidanov, the Soviet Union rider. And then coming through was Lawrence Roche from Ireland. And that's Lawrence Roche. Very similar style to his brother. Those who watched his brother ride over the years can see this, the similarity in the family resemblance, the way they ride their bikes. And still, this is one of the men that went up there very early on to try and get across and join up with that little group, and he's still there at the moment. Luvio from the Toshiba team. And what have we got behind still? A concerted chase, or one that's all disrupted by Carrera on the front. They want to get Abdul Japarov in contention. You see the jerseys on the front, the little blue stripe coming over the top of the shoulders. That's the Carrera team jersey. There are 2 of them up there at the moment. One of the Shadow Dax riders as well. Here we are, this is Carrera going full chat. So they have now decided they're trying to get Abdul Japarov in contention, he with the enormous sprint. And the rest of the sprinters will be thankful now that the Carrera decided to take up the chase. It might give them a chance to do something about it. And always near the front, I think we're going to find Ludwig. Yes, Ludwig is moving up as well to contend this one. The other big sprinter, Stumpf, is not with us now because he's out of the Tour, and we thought that he might be in with a chance of getting some stage victories. He rides for the Hista team, so he's out of contention when it comes to the big sprint at the end. And let's see who's going to get this one. Of course, from the Shadow Dax team, there was one of their riders up the close toward the front looking for a wheel. That would be Jan Schur, who's a very good sprinter indeed. So he'd be third back from the front in that little lot. So Jan Schur was making a good move to follow the Carrera team, because his Shadow Dax team I don't think are the best when it comes to leading him out. He's got 1 or 2 fairly fast riders. Let's see where I can pick him up. Yes, he's just behind the yellow jersey, the Shadow Dax rider. I'm pretty certain that's Jan Schur, and we're back up with the leading group at the moment. Again, Carrera now have got 3 men on the front, and what a great lead-out group they've got here. Bontempi works hard, Makler goes for it as well, and they're all beginning to wind it up. There are 4 of them there now. And there is Schur going through. Yakimov is in there as well. Jalabert is moving up. We've got a very good bunch of sprinters who are saying this might be our chance to go for it. And this little leading group are not working as well as they should. Look, they're looking up. Oh, this is terrible. They're not going to stay away unless they're prepared to work a lot harder than that. I think perhaps they're concerned that some of the riders aren't putting their fair share. Look at the Carrera train coming up. Full steam, toot, toot, put on the coals. Here we go. So the Carrera team here Bontempi, Gianelli, Meichler, Pavlik, Perini, Pulnikov, Zaina. Those are the main men that's doing the pulling back, because Abdul-Japarov and Kiepucci were sitting in the pack, because Abdul-Japarov wears the green jersey, Kiepucci wears the polka dot jersey of King of the Mountains. Second last year, Kiepucci, lying third overall on general classification at the moment. The chase is on and the gap is coming down. The Carrera are doing all the damage to pull them back.
Eurosport, the Tour de France. This program is brought to you by Eurosport in association with Isostar, the fast-acting isotonic thirst quencher.
And the chase is still on here with the Carrera teams going after that breakaway group that have gone under the finish banner. They've probably got just something like 14-15 minutes to go towards the end of this race. Can they pull them back in time? That little group at the front still persisting in their endeavours to stay away from this little bunch of riders behind. And there we are. That's the gap on the road as you can see it. I've just done a quick check on the old watch. Oh, they're giving 10 seconds. Well, I would think it's a bit more than 10, but there we are. We'll go with the official thing. Certainly, it's no more than 10 seconds on my clock from the tail end to the front of the bunch, and that's a sort of easy jump across by anybody who's feeling a bit frisky. It's Edward Chozas, Eduardo Chozas from Madrid, who is, in fact, the Once rider in there. And in the Tour de France last year, he had second place into Geneva. He also won a stage last year and a stage in the Tour of Italy. And of course, he won the Tour of Andalusia last year and was overall, he had a stage victory and was overall first. Who have we got going away now? Whoops, they're all clean together. They can realise the danger. 10 seconds can be jumped across. And I think it's Brian Holm that's gone across again. He's been always active at the front. Brian Holm, whose full name used to be Brian Holm Sorensen, but he knocked the Sorensen bit off and is now known as Brian Holm to stop confusion with the other Sorensen who arrived for the RSC team. But look at the size of the gear he's pushing as well. And they're looking back at the pack coming up as they go under the PMU sprint banner. That's the horse racing tote people that have been sponsoring the sprint section and the green jersey of the Tour de France. And if you want to put a bet on in France, you have to go to your local cafe bar where the PMU sign is, because we don't have bookies like they have in England. You have to go to the PMU to put your money on, the totalizer for the horse racing, and they're sponsoring the sprint section of the race. Whoops, round he goes. Good job it's dry today. I've seen some occasions of the Tour de France, maybe one year with the rally team, it poured with rain and we were down the bottom going on the other side of the Tour Les nearest the Seine, and the touch of wheels, and must have been about 30 riders came down. It took us about half an hour to sort out the bodies and bikes and get them all back in contention, and they were chasing all over the place, riding bikes with buckle wheels and goodness knows what else. And I thought, well, it seems a strange way to end a tour of nearly 2,000 or more than 2,000 miles with bike riders falling off in the middle of Paris. But they all got back together, and the only damage was done to their pride and to their skins. Fortunately, it didn't disrupt the overall classification, but it is a problem in bike racing. You've got to stay on your bike, stay upright and stay out of trouble if you're going to win anything. And here's Zhdanov of the Soviet Union sitting on the wheel of Chozas. Chozas has been trying time and time again to get himself up in the top. He finished in third place on the stage from Morzine to Aix-les-Bains. That was a good ride on his part. He snuck away from the pack and came in just behind Konashev and Pascal Richard. And up in the Alps, he'd also been having a bit of a go as well, finding himself quite good in the mountains. Chozas finishing in 9th place on the Alistair Gap stage, and he'd also had some quite useful places earlier on in the race. So he's always been there or thereabouts. Hasn't actually won a stage yet, like he did last year in the Tour de France, searching for it this time. Not known as an absolute out-and-out sprinter against the likes of Abdul-Japarov and Ludwig, but a useful opportunist rider who's waiting for a moment that he can just get himself away and take a chance on going for a fly. But I think the days of this little pack is over. So for Willems, Zhdanov, Chozas, Luvio, Lawrence Roche and Yakimov, I think they're going, oh no, Vascurin has decided that he's going to slide off and get away from this little group of riders because he recognised they're going to come up at him. As he timed it just right, it is Team Lotto last year who actually got the final stage into the Tour de France when Johan Museeuw got that famous sprint of his wound up, but he's out of the race now. He dropped out on stage 15, and it's his teammate who's trying to get up there and win this stage at the moment. Vascurin then for the Lotto Super Club MBK. And he's eased over and let Zhdanov take over the work at the front. But I think Mr. Zhdanov, comrade, it's all over and done with. I can't think that they're going to get away with this one. Let's have a look down there. No, there we are. The junction's about to be made. Well, that's it. They tried hard. They gave us a lot of entertainment. It shows the courage of these riders who've been riding uphill and down dale through baking hot sunshine and through terrible rainstorms as well. And look at Korea begin to move forward. One going up the front there. Having got up there, Korea's got to put the cork on the bottle and put the lid on it, you see. Toshiba with the red shorts. They're trying to get Jalabert, a very good sprinter, into position as well. In fact, he really loused it up on one of the earlier stages when, in fact, they had 3 men in the break. Jalabert was in there, and the thought was that he was going to certainly... He'd been quite well placed. He got a sort of 4th place on the stage of Ardentown, and Jalabert was up there with 2 of his teammates, and we thought this has got to be a win for him. And that was the one Ribeiro caused them all napping, because they were marking Jalabert as the best sprinter, and Ribeiro, the Brazilian, just said, right, I'm off, and away he went and caught them all napping. That was on the stage from Alençon to Rennes when Jalabert got with him from his team, Brunel and Bourguignon, and they thought they'd have managed to control. Oh, look at Chiappucci on the front now. So Claudio Chiappucci is rocketed off the front. The yellow jersey has marked him and gone with him as well. We don't know see the yellow jersey going away like that, but he's done so. He's spotted Chiappucci, who's always a little devil to go and get a bit of life in his legs and to try and storm away and catch people napping. So Chiappucci has gone off the front of that little pack, and with a Meyer rider, and coming across, I'm sure that was Anderson, a quick flick. Let's wait, we go back there. I saw the Motorola colours of that little group. That's another opportunist move. And the yellow jersey is gone. It just shows his strength. And everybody said that this man in the yellow jersey is so strong this year. They've tried to attack him in the mountains. They've tried to attack him on the flat. He's won 2 time trials, Indurain. And no doubt about it then that Indurain is in this little pack now. And on the wheel of, it looks like Fondris going forward. As pulling over, we just got Chiappucci there on the wheel of the yellow jersey. And then going through, we've got Motorola in there, and that's Bauer. I thought Bauer might like to come good. Bauer, or he's finished the 2nd spot on the Tour de France before, Steve Bauer. Bauer's got himself up onto the wheels of the Meyer rider here. So Bauer it is, moving his way through, looking for a good toe. He don't want to wind up too soon, I wouldn't have thought, Bauer. So they come round in toward this finishing straight. Still the yellow jersey on the front, chasing after our one lone leader from Butler Squad, and still the yellow jersey is doing a lot of chasing down. This is really remarkable. The yellow jersey, he's not going to just go round and sit in the pack and wave to people. He's riding his heart out here, and just up in front then, as we've got, according to my, yes, there's 1 lap to go. This is it, the final lap now of the Tour de France. It's eyes down looking who's going to get this stage. 1 lap to go, just about 6 minutes 40 seconds perhaps, or thereabouts, to the finish of this race. They've been racing now for 4 hours and 36 minutes. There's Bauer in there, and Bauer is sitting in comfortably, but he's decided he's had to go across and try and get up there at the moment, so Bauer is going away for this one. The Yamaha rider's gone onto his wheel. Bauer's made a good move here, I think. He's got a useful pack of riders with him because he's got the yellow jersey with him as well. So there they are then, these riders. The Yamaha rider on the front then, making his turn, and that is Per Pedersen from Denmark. So Pedersen, a useful performer. Chiappucci is in here on the last lap. Chiappucci also in there. Indurain in the yellow jersey. What a beautiful stylist. I've not often seen the yellow jersey attacking on the final lap like this one, and we're watching Indurain do just that self-same thing. That is absolutely outrageous piece of bike riding, and they don't quite know behind what they've got to do about this one, because he's gone for it. And still then, Indurain is with this little group of riders. There's Chiappucci on the far side. And where has Bauer got to? Looking for a big wheel, I should think. Yes, he's dropping himself back in. And at the moment then, Bauer is not, I think, going to do much hard work. And Bunyo's coming up as well. There's another man towards the end of the race we often see start to go for this one. Bunyo's trying to get across. And I think that might be Le Mans trying to go across to him as well. But he must be cooked after his early attempt to win this stage. Bunyo's just about to get on the back. Whoops! Bumping and boring. The riders are beginning to really go for this one. They know it's all downhill now, and you've got to get yourself round down to the bottom of the Tuileries. Really the race, this one, it's really won or lost by the time you hit the Place de la Concorde coming back. It's a sort of a less bend, left and right, single file. You've got to get yourself in the right place before you get into that twist and turn in the Place de la Concorde. And still this little group of riders up in front. Are they going to be able to stay away from the main pack? They're looking over the shoulder. I think they're a bit concerted now as the yellow jersey takes over at the front. And Bauer starts to rocket away down the other side. Bauer's caught him and he's gone for a long one. This seems to be a bit too far to go for it. He should have stayed there because the rider in there, Marson from the Buckler team, has had a very bad tour so far. Marson was sick earlier on and Twine Poles was coming in with him every day, keeping him inside the time limit. And Marson, a very good, strong man when it comes to a long sprint as such, winner previously of the Wincanton Classic up in Newcastle. But look at Bauer go. Bauer is a very strong competitor indeed, winner of 2 stages in the DuPont Tour this year. That's probably some of the best things he's been doing so far this season. A previous man who has been silver medalist as an amateur in the World Championships, and went across to the professional ranks, but he's on his own. He's not going to make it. He's going to get snaffled up. Bauer looking back over his shoulder, and just look at that pack coming at him. He's really got to go some to stay away from this one. Bauer burying himself, but everybody behind deciding that this is a day when the big sprinters will get a cushion ride, and it looks like the green jerseys moved up to about 5th in the front, and now on the front again the Carrera riders are working hard. Buckler's put a man in there as well, because if they can get Jelle Neidem to launch his famous 1,000-metre sprint, it might be for them. Bauer's moment of glory is over as the Carreras snaffle him up. 1, 2, 3, 4 back from the front is the sprinter specialist himself, Abdul Japarov. They go around, look for that green jersey, and just up in front of him, that is Anderson, who likes to go for a flyer. And sensibly, Abdul Japarov has gone onto Anderson's wheel as well. That's one danger man he can keep an eye on. The long string of riders, if you're not in that top 30 or so now, you can say bye-bye to winning this stage. They've got themselves sorted. In distance there, you can see the open air swimming pool on the Seine. And here, riding along the bank for the last time of the 1991 Tour of France, these remaining riders, 157 of them started out this morning. The back here, 187, he tried to get away, but he's now been caught again, and that was Philippe Louviot. He's too far off the pace now to make any chance of getting up towards the front. And as I said, in that top 30, you'll find the victor for today. You just can't come from behind that particular point at this speed and expect to get anywhere. I can see Jelle Neidem about 3 or 4 from the front there. Still the hard men from Carrera are leading out. In there at the moment, Machler's going hard in there. Bontempi's in there. And look at Abdul Japarov. And alongside him, Phil Anderson's trying to go around the outside. Anderson would like to go for a long one. He'll have to switch if he's going to do anything about it as they go down and into the murkiness of the tunnel. Watch it, lads, don't take the right-hand side when they come out. It forks just down there. Wait for them to pop out, and let's see who it is in the lead. Still the Carrera jeans, but they've eased back a bit. Anderson has popped in there. He's third from the front, and on his wheel is the green jersey of Abdul Japarov. And this is the time, if anybody wants to come across the left-hand side, they can go across there quick, but I don't think they've got the speed in their legs at all. As this wonderful Carrera jeans train is going, and looking back here, the lead-out specialist then for the Panasonics, looking for Ludwig on his wheel, and Anderson is still in there. And they're coming through very hard. This is the one who's going to get this one. Panasonic's up in strength. They've got Ludwig in contention as well. A great move by Panasonic. 2 of the team men for Panasonic have gone to the front and taken Ludwig with them. Ludwig's in a fine point now. Can he get himself a stage at the end of the tour? Ludwig, no, but on the inside, he's been cut out by Shadow Dax, and Shadow Dax have taken the front now. They've chopped through on this one. Well, that's going to be a turn up for the books, and Ludwig got himself in the wrong place at the wrong time, swinging round in toward the finishing straight then. Let's see who's going to get this one. Keep your fingers crossed. It's going to be a hell of a one. Still on the front then, Shadow Dax are dying, and Ludwig's coming out the right hand side. On the left hand side is Abdul Japarov. Ludwig and Abdul Japarov are going for this one. Abdul Japarov inside, Ludwig alongside him. Who's going to get it? Have they still got the stake? He's gone down. Abdul Japarov's gone down, and Ludwig Ludwig's going forward. What a crash. They're all over the place. Ludwig gets the stage, I think. There's bodies all over the place as Abduljaparov is in a heap down there. This is an absolute disaster. What a shame for Abduljaparov, who came down with an almighty bang there in that sprint. And let's see, as the Cameron go running back, the Shadow Dax riders are down as well. There is Abduljaparov. He will be credited with the time, by the way, of the main pack, because he is inside the final kilometre. And I'm not sure, as Konyshev here is cooling down. Konyshev might have got it. He was on the right-hand side. We'll wait for the action replay. Abduljaparov went down, Ludwig went through, Konyshev was on the far side. But I thought that Ludwig had probably got it. We'll have to wait for the replay, and that's it. He must, the way that people are coming to him. Konyshev, that's 5 successes then for the Soviet Union, and we'll have to see on that slow motion replay, we normally get it, as to who got the stage. And certainly TVM are happy with this man Konyshev. Yes, he's got it. Here we go again. Now look on the left first of all at Abduljaparov, as usual, bouncing his bike round. He switches across. There's Ludwig to the right. He's got Ludwig at the moment. And in fact, he pulled his own front wheel down. He pulled his own front wheel down. Now, on the dotted line, that's Konyshev going across the dotted line in the centre of the road. He goes off the right-hand corner of our screen. That's a better view now. We missed him, you see, because he was off our shot, the one we got. I'm not excusing myself, because I was looking down at Ludwig and the crash, and he was in the centre, and he went to the other side of the dotted line, and Konyshev got it by Nat's whisker from Ludwig, I should think. That's got to be a close one, and maybe we should get, there's a camera on the line sideways on, and we could well get an action replay showing that sideways. Abduljaparov is still down there. He looks very seriously hurt, and that's a great disaster for him. But I say this time it looked like he pulled his front wheel either out off the road, or else he bumped into one of the signboards on the side. He certainly, I don't think, didn't hit anybody like he normally does. Let's hope he isn't badly hurt. We want to see this man in action. The officials trying to push back the press and the spectators. What a way to finish the tour. We have great sympathy for Abduljaparov, but that is what sprinting is all about.
Eurosport.
A sad day for Djamilid Abduljaparov of the Carrera Jeans team, still sitting down where he crashed, and we've had an action replay of it that looked like a photographer hiding close up alongside one of the advertising hoardings. I'm not quite sure whether he hit him or swerved to try and miss him and brought his front wheel off the ground. We may see that yet again, but Konyshev in first place from Ludwig. I'm sorry I called Ludwig first because Konyshev shot off my screen, but it was near enough. Konyshev, Ludwig ahead of Abadi. Redon Anderson, who was in 5th place, Verdonk back in 6th, but obviously had our little friend in the green stayed upright, Abduljaparov. He might have been in there in those top 3, first, second or third. Great, a disaster for him. He's really animated the racing this year with his sprints, and of course a lot of concerns been said about the way these sprinters throw themselves about, and Abduljaparov in particular. But it's been said, look, you know, if you're a sprinter, that's what happens. You don't go in there if you haven't got courage and strength and prepared to fight your way through, then you ain't a sprinter. And Abduljaparov has proved, the rest of them, they sort of lean on each other. They all know the tactics, they all know the rules. They've all raced, by the way, as amateurs together, because Ludwig, Olympic champion, raced against Abduljaparov, particularly a lot behind the Iron Curtain. And they know, they don't suddenly invent this tactics. They ride like that. That's what they start. I watched Abduljaparov in the milk race in England, must have been 6-7 years ago now, and he was sprinting the same then, all over the place, going like stink, throwing his bike, throwing his body, and he just either had to, you know, bump him out the way or get out of the way. That's sprinting. It's you know, dog eat dog out there, and that's what the riders know. Konyshev then up on the rostrum, having now won 2 stages in the Tour de France, in this year's Tour de France. He won one last year, silver medalist a couple of years ago, one of the earliest Soviet Union riders to turn professional when they all went to join the Alfa Lum team, and how much we benefited in pro racing since these riders from the Soviet Union and what used to be East Germany, Poland and so on, have all been able to turn pro and entertain us, because for so many years they weren't allowed in their nations to turn professional. They had to keep them as amateurs to ride for the glory of the country and not for the money they could win overseas. Well, there goes Konyshev. Congratulations to him, and that means 5 victories for Soviet Union riders this year, and I think that's a record for any nation, but don't take me up on that yet, so I'll be checking. So there he goes then, the victor of today's stage with check 50,000 French francs in his pocket. There we are, view from a helicopter of the top of the Eiffel Tower. Beautiful place, nip up on the old escalator if you're in Paris, well worth it. Get there early in the morning though, because this time of the year the queues from the tourists are enormous. Claudio Chiappucci, the winner of the Coca-Cola Light King of the Mountains award. Well, Claudio Chiappucci burst upon the scene last year when he finished second in the Tour de France, when he wore the yellow jersey, one of those riders that got away on that four-man break on day one. And that's changed virtually his whole way of riding since then, because he came into this race after finishing second last year with a tremendous success in the Milan-San Remo when he was first overall. He won the Tour, the Basque Country as well. I think he had a disappointing day on stage 8 in the time trial at Alençon, because he was looking to do a bit better, I think, than that, but he drifted out. He's not only got the King of the Mountains jersey, he's finished overall third on general classification. He has, in fact, enlivened the race. If you've been watching it like I have now and being with this race for all this way through since we started it never ever has a day gone by we haven't seen Claudio Chiappucci doing something, attacking towards the end, riding hard, and he's got a character. He always gets up there with a smile on his face, and the crowd here really like this character, and I'm glad that he sort of comes strong, because this just shows what a little bit of success can do for you when you're riding a bike, to suddenly find yourself up there winning awards, and then you become an international character. And I look forward to seeing him in England. We hope he makes his way across to the Wincanton. I see Hein Verbruggen up there, the president of the FICP, who's got a few problems to sort out with the crash hat fines, but that's all part of cycle racing. Actually, Abdul Jafarov had got a crash hat on then when he came down, so it just shows you that if you're going to sprint, you might as well put something heavy on your head. Well, the fun if Konashev hadn't got one, but he fortunately kept out of harm's way. He was probably about 4th or 5th when the crash came and just switched out of trouble. Fine view of Paris there for you. The Seine, there the Place de la Concorde absolutely deserted, no traffic moving. The Champs-Élysées, no traffic moving either. The ceremony is taking place down there, and this is another view from the Place de la Concorde, right at the Champs-Élysées. In the distance there is the Arc de Triomphe, and if you can go over the Arc de Triomphe and down the other side, there's a new great big building called La Défense, and I understand that I think it's next year, or probably the year afterwards, we're actually going to have the finish at La Défense. Don't take me up on that for official yet, but I was reading something the other day that they might be changing it, and La Défense is an unusual building. It's shaped a bit like the Arc de Triomphe, but it's actually offices, and a very unusual looking building indeed, and that's a new one's been put up, caused much controversy, I can assure you, amongst architects and admirers of Paris, because it's a beautiful city with marvellous old buildings that have been there for centuries, and yet you also get modernity, the most amazing buildings sometimes, all glass-fronted and made of strange shapes, mainly, thank goodness, not exactly in the centre of the town here, but just a bit outside the town. And there are some of those beautiful green parklands, not far from it, the Bois de Boulogne, the Parc Saint-Cloud. There's lovely areas of parkland here in Paris for people to enjoy, apart from just going and seeing all the well-known sites. This is the Tuileries on the left-hand side, where it's got a fairground going all the way along this stretch to the other side of there. And there we have the Louvre, which is being under a lot of reconstruction at the moment. On the left-hand side, you can see the scaffolding up, and then some of it behind was ministry property, and that's also being put back to display works of art. And that glass pyramid in the centre is where, to go into Louvre, you go in there and down underneath, so you can then make your way through to the various exhibition rooms. Back down then, there we are, confirmation of the general classification. That is now as it was this morning, there's no change. And what a great day for the French too as well, because up there you can see behind Indurain, Bugno, Chiappucci, they've got Motti, Leblanc and Fignon, 3 Frenchmen up there. So Indurain is the leader and the winner of the Tour de France. And there he goes up on the rostrum to get his yellow jersey. The French are very happy. They've got 4 men in the top 10. They've got 8 in the top 20, in fact. So the French really are, I think, en fête. They were worried that this tour wasn't going to be much good for them, but it has been. We've got a Spanish rider in first place, then the 2 Italians, Bugno and Chiappucci, then 3 Frenchmen, then Greg LeMond in 7th place. He wasn't up on our screen there, but we congratulate him on his gutsy performance. Andrew Hampson in 8th place, Pedro Delgado from Spain in 9th, Gerard Rouet from France in 10th spot. And Edward Chaussas, who tried to go away there in 11th spot overall. None of us mentioned him because he had to go towards the end. So there, yet another line for the zoo. The sponsors of the yellow jersey, Credit Lyonnais, providing him with that little lion, and he's in fact won himself 2 million French francs for being the victor in this, the 1991 Tour de France. He came into the race to be domestic to Delgado. He got strong as it went on, then all his team backed him. It's not just this man with his tremendous strength, it's been a Banesto team that has surrounded him at all times, ridden with him, and particularly Jean-Francois Bernard, who the French press had written off some years ago. He rode his heart out in the Alps and the Pyrenees to help this man keep that yellow jersey. It's teamwork to win bicycle racing, but you do have to have one man at the top who's better than anybody else, and that's him. That's the man, Miguel Indurain from Spain, who's now won this, the 1991 Tour de France. More pictures for the album, more congratulations, and the Spanish spectators up and down the Champs-Élysées here in Paris are absolutely elated with this one. Banesto also, the team winners overall, they've done a tremendous job in not only safeguarding the position of this man, but scoring enough points to get the team award as well. So lots of money, something like £1 million English at stake in this race this time. Second place will get 800,000, third 300,000, but the big bag of gold then going to Banesto, and that will be shared, by the way. He doesn't take it all away. He actually then splits it amongst his teammates, and they all take an equal share, and he's going to sign the book there of honour as a winner of this particular race this year. So for Miguel Indurain, what a way, what a success. The fear was that he might not be able to stand the stress of being in the yellow jersey. He's always ridden best as a domestique for Delgado, but he's been a very quiet, unassuming man, and I must say that he's really, as far as the whole of cycling world is concerned, he's earned a lot of supporters by his modesty, but most of all by his sheer strength, the way in which he can ride a bike, the performance every day when he's ridden absolutely like a gentleman, but he's ridden hard, and the rest knew. They've all said all along, he's the man to beat. And there we are, the final view of Paris, and the beautiful city here welcoming in yet again the finish of the Tour, because we've been here so many times in the past. It's the 78th time we've finished, and it's myself, David Duffield. I'm part of the Eurosport crew, saying we hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Tour de France. It's time to say goodbye to you all. Bye-bye.
Eurosport.